Actually,
yeah, I'm watching the rise, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked cause I'm hardly surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I'd make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just about my side. This one's for the grind, I knew it would happen, just had the strength in my mind.
It's the Travel OG, and welcome to the Black Manosphere Conclave 5.0!
We got started in 2021 in Atlanta, united in the pursuit of excellence in all things. It's been one hell of a ride.
Can I tell you what's on my mind? 'Cause I've been thinking about it for quite some time. Hey, can you give me a moment to declare my love? Can I tell you what's on my mind?
We're now focusing more on opportunities for men, in particular passport bros. Guys who go abroad, they want to have a different lifestyle, they want to have a different achievement abroad. Oh yeah, there's without a doubt the narrative has changed for us greatly.
I just finished speaking and having a chance to tell individuals about how to live the American dream outside of America. And I was here to help so many men when it comes to understanding what they need to do in order to relocate.
With the political climate, things that are happening worldwide, guess what? Nobody's coming to save us. So it is indicative that we all bound together, tighten up like a fist, and strike a mighty blow against everything that's fighting to stop us, man.
It's nothing but good, positive people, good, positive energy with one goal in mind, and that is to make money, get the hell out the matrix, and enjoy your life. You dig? So shout out to all of y'all. Theme music.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is your man Marcus A. Brown, and I'm here to tell y'all that I just got done with my first consultation with the brother Andre of Love Crossing Borders. I just wanted to give him his praises. I need y'all to do two things if you haven't already. If you haven't, subscribe to his YouTube channel, Love Crossing Borders. Also, if you are going to Colombia, if you're thinking of going anywhere, traveling internationally, please consider booking a consultation with the OG Andre of Love Crossing Borders. You will not be disappointed. And y'all, get in tune with him if you haven't already. Tell him MAB sent you. Peace.
Where are all the black men? And I'm not talking about the scammers, the drug dealers, the robbers, and the crooks.
well, actually.
Well, actually. Actually, they're here enjoying Andre and Andre's Love Crossing Borders. Shout out to all you gentlemen that are here this evening. We have a very important breaking news that's been taking place over the last month from the United States and around the world. Let's put some music on, by the way, come to think of it. Let's change that. Let's add some music. Non-stop. Music. Non-stop. For all you Kraftwerk fans. All right, here we go. Let's get started. In 2019, many moons ago, a content creator named Taylor Made Dreams had a YouTube channel out of the Dominican Republic. And right around 2019, he made predictions on how important it would be for individuals to get their passports, because the day might come in which they might get trapped in the United States instead of just live in the United States. Many individuals took that for granted when he made that statement. Right around January of 2020, Andre and I on Love Crossing Borders made the same prediction that it's time for us to be serious about what we do with our passports and not just use our passports for vacationing, but also relocating. Between those two predictions, we both said that a time will come where you are not just living in the United States, but you will be trapped in the United States. No way in, no way out. Many people laughed at us in January when we said that, laughed at Taylor Made Dreams when he predicted it. Not even 4 months later, COVID hit. And most Americans were not living in the United States, but were trapped in our United States. Fast forward to 2025, 2026. There is a new way in which the government is plotting to trap many of us in the United States. Not another pandemic, not another market crash, such as what crypto is going through, but by playing games and regulating who can get and how you can use your passports. Recent reports show that a lot of Americans now are able to leave America, fly to other countries, and they found out the hard way that their passports were somehow lost or no longer in the system miraculously. Now, these people, some have claimed that, well, maybe those people had filed for it to be lost at one point in time and they didn't realize, well, they found their passport and now they forgot to let the government know, the State Department know that they found their passports. No. These are U.S. citizens in many cases that just got their passports. In one case, he had just got his passport not even a week before his trip. These are not people who forgot that they had claimed their passport missing at one point in time. These are people who had kept up with their passports, no issues, frequent flyers like many of us, and now over the last few months could not fly out the United States because of the fact there's been a claim that their passport was lost. Fortunately, some of these people were able to get it rectified, whether it be the U.S. Embassy or they had to fly all the way back to the States. Either way, this is just the beginning. Just like ICE is just the beginning of the Gestapo taking place in the United States. This is just the beginning. They're just testing, using ICE to see how they can police you. So it is when it comes to your passports. So in tonight's episode, we're letting you guys know, do not take your passport or foreign citizenship for granted. If you're in a position to where you can use Ancestry DNA or Ancestry DNA 123 or whichever one, and you're able to get another passport in a foreign country, even if it's a small African country, take advantage of it. Because the day will come where you wish you had a second passport. But until that day, let's get ready for some intros and some shout outs. Shout out to all you guys that are here thus far. We got 57 in the building. I will not have time to give a shout out to everyone, but I am giving an appreciation to all you guys, ladies, men that are here. Shout out to all you guys that are here. I'll give a shout out to the first few guys that are here. First one that's here with the 20,000 Colombian pesos is my brother Chill with Will in the building. Salutations to you as well as to Andrea and the chat. He say smash the like button, support the channel. Make sure that you support the channel by way of sharing this particular video on your Facebook page. He says support the channel for great information and content provided. This is going to be an interesting show. Can't wait for Dre to dissect this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna dissect this, definitely. We've got our microscopes today, gentlemen. Today's episode is all of us men have our microscopes like scientists, and we're gonna do a close analysis of what all this is all about, because several travelers have come out, and I don't mean just one or two, have come out and said that their passports, once they got to the location, hear me out, not while they were in the States let them get on the planes, fly to whatever destination. We're going to hear from one man. He flew all the way to Thailand just to find out that the State Department said that his passport was considered lost. And it's been happening over and over and over again. And some guys that we're going to look at tonight, they even have a theory about it. Shout out to David Dice in the building. Glad to see that you're here, Dave. Glad you see what's going. Yeah, what in the world is going on? Every time you think it's safe in the water, every time you think it's safe to go in the water, something new is taking place. Shout out to my brother Kenny Peoples of the Peoples family. Good evening to you as well. Shout out to my man Bean in the building. What up, though? What up to you, brother? He said, "How's your Thursday going?" Or how's your Thursday? I'm having a great day. Just got done having a wonderful. Me and Andre went out to a nature trail. And we just walked and talked and had some praise and worship and just enjoyed our lives and just enjoyed ourselves just walking for a few hours. So we're just getting back maybe about a good hour ago. Got your boy fresh and clean because, you know, black folks know how to take showers. If you saw yesterday's episode, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to my brother Ronan Travers. Ronan, I'm going to be I got the video sent out to you already last night. I hope that you received it. The video that we're talking about, I had already deleted the Anton videos. That's why I didn't see you. Look for WeTransfer.com. That's the email that the video from yesterday came through. WeTransfer.com. You had hit me up like right after, not even a half an hour after I was cleaning out my computer and I deleted all the Anton videos that I had. And I'm going to get that link over to you in regards to the book writing. So shout out to you, brother. And shout out to you enjoying your cafe, your coffee. Shout out to Don, a.k.a. the Don JP in the building. Glad to see that you're here. Let me scroll down a little further. We got the most BK, yes, sir, in the building, along with my man Jay Kaysen. We got 65 in the building. I'm glad that you guys are here. We're about to get started. We're not going to take too much time with the intros, gentlemen, on this particular episode. We're not going to take too long, but we're going to give a few shout outs to you guys that were here earlier. Shout out to Pro Faye being in the building. Greetings to you. Good. He said, good thing I have 2 passport days. Yes, sir. He said, make my U.S. He said, and I still have my Dominican passport. And he's absolutely correct. If you can, guys, do the ancestry.com, especially black men. There are a lot of black countries in Africa, or a lot of countries in Africa that are allowing African Americans to come. And I know several guys that have done it. Come to Africa, get your citizenship, get your passport. And these guys didn't have to live in the country in which their ancestry was. They just went there and did everything that they need to do. So there are several countries in Africa, and I actually have it in our book. It's actually in our book, Anywhere is Possible. There is a chapter dedicated to how to get your second passport, and the continent of Africa is one of those locations. So shout out to you guys. Black Chairman is in the building. Glad that you're here, brother. Glad to see you here, as well as Tevin King. Always a supporter and always here. Shout out to my brother Charles in the building. What's good to everyone? Glad that you're here. Let me scroll down just a little further, see who else I can get in the first few moments, such as my brother Roy being here representing. Glad that you're here, as well as my man B being here. Beatrice being here. Glad that you're here, Beatrice. Good evening to everyone. And Ellis is in the building. Shout out, we're doing something right tonight because Ellis is here as well. We got 71 in the building, guys. We're about to get started. Shout out to my man Fears in the building. Glad that you're here. And glad to see all you brothers that are here. Shout out to my brother Abuta being here as well. Yes, sir. He said, is it safe to come out there? The question is it safe to be in there? And of course, shout out to my neighbor and all the brothers that have come down to Cali, Colombia. Glad to see you here, and big brother in life, as well as my brother, Poor Man 313.
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Don't play with me.
Don't play with that man. Do not play with that man. He said, you're talking about Shorty from Fresh and Fit last night. Talking about she washed twice a month. I know, right? Ugh. Yeah, they have official. If I was single, last night's episode officially turned me off for white girls. Shout out to YouTube and as I have it. Yeah, last night's episode. If I was single, yeah, I couldn't date white girls. I ain't gonna lie about that one. It ain't got nothing to do with their cultural complexion. It's got to do with if I date a white girl, I have to show her how to wash her butt because it's just nasty. Yes, sir. You said Guyana suspended their program. Thank you for letting me know about that. Appreciate that. My man, Big Brother has a question. He said, yo, Dre, have you done a video on how to properly cure for bald heads and beard? You know what? That's a good one. I've been thinking about that. A bald and beard episode. I'm glad that you said that because I do take thorough care of the beard and the bald head. Yes, sir. I don't just shave it, but I have a routine. Shout out to all 70 of you guys that are in here thus far. Appreciate you guys supporting by way of PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chat. Supporting the channel and its growth. Say twice a month, that is nasty. That is, Charles. That is. Yes, sir. Let's continue and shout out once again to Ronan being here. Oh, you saw the email this morning? Okay, okay, cool. I'll definitely get that link over to you. Shout out to my man Chris Jeezy in the building. Glad you're here as well. All right, let's change the music over, gentlemen. Let's change the music over because we already know. Let's change it to our music. Yes, sir. As I was saying, over the last couple of months, there has been a glitch that's taken place in the system that's impacted several travelers. Not just one or two, three or four, not just 10. The United States State Department is somehow, some way, miraculously telling people that their passport has been lost. But notice, they are waiting till the people get to their destination to inform them of this. In other words, you're using your passport when you are standing in customs in the United States or at the airport. You are getting on that plane in the United States. You are flying from your destination, from the United States towards your destination. And you land in your destination and they say, wait a minute, according to Interpol, and Interpol regulates, international travel with our passports from any country around the world. According to Interpol, your passport has been reported lost. And in other cases, it has been reported even stolen. And people are saying, even with brand new, one guy said, I've only had my passport a week. I just got it in the mail. How is it reported lost if I have it right here and I just had it for a week and no stamps? They are exercising in the United States the right to regulate your passport because, like I said, it's one thing to live in the United States. It's another thing in which they plan on many of us being trapped in the United States. And we're going to see tonight some of the policies that are coming down the turnpike through Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, as well as President Trump. So it's not just happenstance that many of these things are taking place. Let's get ready to get started, gentlemen. Let's get ready to get started. Let me pull up this video for us. And let me turn the music down just one more notch and we're good.
Attention to all American citizens. If you have any trips coming up where you're going to be flying overseas, out of the country, then this is a video you need to pay very close attention to. And why do I say that? Because there are alleged rumors that they are canceling people's passports. And I say allegedly. Why? Because there are tons of videos that have been popping up all over social media with people claiming that their passports have been canceled and their lives have been completely ruined.
I came across this at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. Ronan Travels can attest to that because I was sending him emails at that time period, right? 3 o'clock last night, and I came across this. This has been going on for about a month, guys. You know how it always happened. Who's always the last one to find out about stuff? Black folks. A lot of times us black folks were the last ones to find out about stuff. But this is 2026 information. So just in case you guys are wondering, I would easily say 85 to 90% of the videos that we're about to watch tonight is from 2026. Almost 100% of the video is from 2020. Almost 100% of the video is from September of 2025 all the way until now. So 85% of it is right off, fresh off the presses, hot off the presses. And the rest of it, the furthest back it goes is September. So when I'm telling you that all this information is new and these incidences are new, and it's not happenstance, it's not a coincidence, and it's not a time where black people should bury our heads in the sand and say, well, they're not messing with my passport. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. If they're coming for white people, do not think that they won't be coming for us. There has never been a time in American history that they did not come for another culture and eventually didn't come for us. If you think I'm playing, look at ICE. If you think I'm playing, all you brothers and sisters in early 2025 that were laughing at the Latins, laughing at the Asians when they got arrested and were detained and were attacked and they went in their kids' schools, what are they doing now, black people? Are they not kicking in the doors of black families? Are they not arresting black citizens now? Are there not lawsuits going out from black people? Even though we may not be out there protesting, doesn't matter. They're coming into our communities now. Have they not sent to Chicago and DC the National Guard to regulate? Have they not done that? So all black people that sit back and think, well, that's going to only happen to white folks. ICE is showing you that they're coming after you too. In this scenario that we're going to be looking at, they'll be coming after you. Don't worry about it. Why you think that you are, because of your color, that you are immune to what's taking place.
And case in point, this article from the Daily Dot. Check out the caption. Third voided passport video I've seen. Americans are landing abroad only to learn their passports were quietly canceled. And that little joke right underneath there makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, it's nearly impossible to cancel a gym membership. And to make things even more crazier, all of the videos, if you watch them, they all have the same exact story. They go on vacation, they land in a foreign country, and they're told their passport has been canceled. And they didn't do the canceling. They are being told altogether that the passports were reported stolen, or in a couple of cases, lost. What's not making a lot of sense is when you show up to the airport in the US and you present your passport, they're letting you board. So then what happens once you're in the air? Because when you land, they stop you and flag you and say there's an alert on your passport. So the one thing I can suggest you do is call the National Passport Office and ask them the question, is my passport valid? Has it been reported stolen? Has it been reported flagged?
I was deported.
Now, before this guy who was the first one to go viral with this, before he speaks, there are people who called the number. I'm going to have the number tonight for you to call for the Passport Information Center that's with the State Department. Some people saying that they're able to get through, and some people say they haven't been able to get somebody to answer the phone at all. And this guy is going to tell by the end of the video what takes place once you finally, or if you finally get somebody on the phone.
From Thailand. And it's because the American system is failing you in a way that you don't even know about. So on December 28th, me and my girlfriend fly from Miami, Florida to Doha, Qatar to Bangkok, Thailand. And upon arrival,
remember, once again, I said these incidences occurred over the last month plus. He said December 28th, he was the first one to go viral. And all of a sudden, so many Americans have come out the woodwork that has experienced the same thing.
I go into immigration and I'm told that my passport is flagged as lost or stolen by Interpol. So in case you don't know, the only way that it can be marked as lost is if you yourself mark it as lost. You need your social security number, your birth certificate, you need all of your personal information to mark it as lost. I did not do that.
Why did he say that? Why did he say you need all those things to mark it as lost? I'll tell you why. Because there was a sister on TikTok that's telling people that, and I came across her video too. I didn't use it, but I came across her video telling people that, well, these people just forgot that they filed that their passports were lost. And then when they went to go use their passports, they ended up being monitored or what term can I use? Being placed under the umbrella of being lost or stolen. Hear me out, gentlemen. You will not forget if you filed for your passport if it was lost or stolen. If you lose your passport in Colombia, right? The hell you got to go through to get to the embassy in Bogota, if you're in Medellin, Cali, Cartagena, the validation that you got to go through, the amount of money that you have to pay to get a second passport, you will never forget that experience. That will not be something that you forgot to do, like you lost one of your pair of socks, one of the socks. You'll remember if something like that happened. That's why he gave the information on all that you go through if you lose a passport. Because it's not just flip it. It's just, oh, wow, I forgot I did that. I forgot. And if he did file, and if all these people had filed that they lost their passports, how come their passports worked in U.S. embassy? I mean, worked at the U.S. airports? I'm serious. If what that lady said, the sister said, was true, that these people somehow filed that their passports were lost and stolen, and they just forgot. All of the people that are going through this. How come these people's passports still worked when they got to the airport and were able to get on the plane? If they were the one that reported stolen. She tried to sell it as if the guys like him reported it as stolen, forgot all these people miraculously found their passports, and every single one of them forgot to let the U.S. State Department know. A sister. And she said, this is my last video. You can't on social media. None of you believe me. But guess what she said at the end? If you want more information, follow me on Patreon. If you want more of the truth, make sure you subscribe to my Patreon. I just put in the comments, I say, get your hustle money on, sister. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. Using fear tactics instead of facts. Not everybody lost their passport or had it stolen, and then miraculously all these people found their passports, right? And miraculously, all these people were able to get on the plane for their flights. And miraculously, all these people were turned back because their passports were reported stolen. All of them? Yeah. I like how you put that she's a clown. She's a clown. Bring in the clown.
So here I am, about as far away from the United States as I could possibly be, with an invalidated passport flagged by Interpol, International Police, to which I did not know about. I'm then told that I am not allowed to enter the country, and I'm detained until I am back on United States soil. So I'm getting deported with an invalidated passport that I used to book 6 international flights, and I got on 2 of those international flights with an invalid passport. And I know for sure that it wasn't a mistake.
That's another point that he just made. All of us who fly know that they're going to ask you for when you book your flight, when you book your ticket, no matter what airline, don't they ask you for your ask you for your passport if you're taking an international flight. So the airlines didn't mark it as, well, that's a lost passport number. That's an invalid number. You have to put another number in. The airlines didn't post it as invalid, did they? They scheduled the flight under that ID number or passport number. When he got to the airport and these people got to the airport, there was no problem with them getting on the planes. He flew from Miami to Qatar. After Qatar, he landed in Thailand, where they detained him. And Interpol pulled him to the side and said, your passport has been reported as stolen and or lost. This is just one story, guys. We're going to hear a lot more of stories from other people.
Mistake is actually invalid, because when we got back to the States, customs told me that it was lost, and it was marked lost 1 month after I got the passport. So this means I didn't even have the passport in the mail yet, and it was marked as lost. But I got it, and then 6 months later, I used that invalidated passport to book 6 international flights, and I got on 2 of them. So they had no more information for me, so I contacted the Department of the State, like the department of the government that's responsible for this, and they said they have no idea what I'm talking about, they've never heard of this situation before, and they tell me to go to another department. So I called the National Passport Information Center, and in their system, it's not marked as lost. There's no problem with my passport from the National Passport Information Center. They told me that different departments handle the application of your passport, and there's a completely different department that handles whether or not it's lost or stolen. So hours on the phone later, with the only 2 departments of government that are responsible for this, I have no information as to what happened, except I'm told to send a physical letter through snail mail to a random government P.O. box, and maybe they'll know what's happening with me. I spoke to the airlines, I spoke to an immigration lawyer, and what I've realized is that getting on a flight obviously does not do a full check of your passport. Meaning that the only way I could have possibly known that my falsely flagged passport was flagged was to go through international immigration services in a different country. And they let me get on 24 hours of flights to be as far away from home as I possibly could be to find this out.
I land in Rome. They tell me that there's an Interpol alert on my passport. They say that it was reported lost or stolen. Now, I'm a frequent traveler. I showed them other proof of my identity. I had my passport card. I had my license. I showed them literally everything I had. My birth certificate, I keep that on me. So I end up being able to go through customs, but I need to go to the embassy to get a new passport. So I am grateful that I'm able to go to the embassy to get this passport. As promised, I go to the embassy first thing Monday morning to deal with the situation, and they're able to tell me that in their system, somebody reported my passport as lost or stolen on an MTA bus back in November. Now, that person was not me. I made it very clear to the person, I don't take the MTA bus. However, I'm also a frequent traveler. Why would I have reported my passport as missing and then decided to go on a trip a month later?
Long story short, a bunch of people have now been coming out talking about how their passports, even though it's legitimate and everything is by the book, they have been deported from foreign countries and sent back to America because their passports have either been reported stolen or it has been voided. Remember, I made a video and I said, I believe, my theory, I have no proof, but I believe the Iron Curtain goes down after the World Cup. When the World Cup is over, that's when America will show its true face. It can't do that now because it needs all these people to come to America and we need their money. So it's either the World Cup this year or the Olympics next year, but one of the two, the Iron Curtain is coming down. And once it comes down, you will find out that wall in Mexico was never to stop the Mexicans from coming in. It was always to stop Americans from leaving. Don't forget.
I said this the last 2 years, that wall was not for the Mexicans and for foreigners. I've been saying that for 2 years. I didn't know this brother was going to say this. This is exactly what I've said for 2 years. That wall, all of us Americans that actually have the audacity to think that wall was for Mexicans. What makes you think? Okay, how do most Mexicans get into the United States? How do they get their drugs into the United States? Overground or underground? Overground or underground? Mexicans have so many tunnels that have already been built underground that they've been going back and forth throughout the United States with no issues. It's the other immigrants that come straight through the canals and the rivers. That gate, that wall, that structure is not for foreigners. I don't know why y'all keep thinking that structure is for foreigners. That structure is to keep you locals in control. And if you think I'm joking, the day will come where you will not be able to leave when you want to. And there will be a wall that exists. And I'm not fear mongering. This episode is not fear mongering. It's about facts. You know, I'm not a fear monger type of dude. I do bring facts. And the fact of the matter is, I've said this for years, the last couple of years, that wall was never meant to keep foreigners out. That wall was meant to imprison you. And until you come to the reality of that, it was meant to, yes, I'm going to put it like this. That wall was meant to imprison your favorite sports teams, your next door neighbor, your mother, your grandmother, you, your coworker, your doctor, and your dentist, the dude that's working construction, the guy that's a bus driver, and the guy that's a truck driver. That wall and more walls are going to be built to keep you guys in. Whether they be walls of policies or whether they're literal walls. So stop thinking that what they put on the news is what you're supposed to believe. I believe that. I kid you not. I was the same way. I believed everything that they put on the news when they talked about another country. I wasn't in the military. You military guys, you got a ups on us. You know the difference between one country and another country. Us mere mortals, we don't know that. And so at the end of the day, a lot of you guys, and I mean a lot of you guys, are going to come to the reality that what I'm saying and what Taylor Made Dreams and all these other content creators, like the Nomad Capitalist is saying, You laugh and mock us right now because you don't see it. How do you cook lobster, crabs, a frog? You put them in warm water, right? Even cool water. They're not going to jump out, are they? What do? You let the heat turn up slowly but surely. In the United States is going from a melting pot to a melting pot. And a lot of people are going to be melted inside of it. I love my country. I believe great things have come because of our country. But I'm not stupid about my country. Just like many of us love our woman, but we still know the flaws of our woman, yet we still love her, right? Same principle. Same principle. My man Will said, you need specific information to cancel a passport. Absolutely correct. And these people didn't even have that information. So there is no way in the world they were the ones that actually did it. Let's continue on, gentlemen.
Up to 5 Americans so far. 5 different Americans have gone to Canada to request asylum, only to get arrested by the Canadian police and sent back to America. So if you go to Canada thinking, oh shit, everything is scary here, I'm gonna run to Canada. Nope. Canadians will arrest you and send you the fuck back.
You did not go to Canada for asylum. You know what country just opened up asylum for major countries? I just came across it last night too. Guess what country, a major country, has finally opened up its doors? Because it used to be only third world countries and second world countries they could get asylum in certain countries. Do you know things are so bad in the United States? I'll say this again. Things are so bad in the United States that the Netherlands is the first country to open up asylum to where an American citizen could go to the Netherlands for a place to stay and be able to apply and apply fairly. It used to be if you were an American citizen in many parts of Europe, if not most parts of Europe, and you apply for asylum, they laugh at you. Get out of here. Things are so bad now in the United States. The Netherlands just recently opened up its borders for people that want to come and have a fair chance to apply for asylum. So all you guys that think that this is all far-fetched, okay, cool. Other countries don't. So if you think Andre doesn't know what he's talking about, cool. Other countries are seeing it. Other countries are seeing what's taking place in our country. And the brother is absolutely correct. You guys have 2 major dates coming up to get your ish in order. 2 major dates. The World Cup and the Olympics. And he is right. After the Olympics, you think all hell is now in the United States. Trump gonna be just like the Joker. Wait till they get a load of me. Wait till they get a load of me. I kid you not. Will says this, that they have never provided a case number or proof showing their passport was canceled. And that's another thing. You do get a case number once you file that your passport was lost. They give you a case number to be able to follow what takes place with your passport. Any updated information, or if they need to reach out to you, you need to reach out to them. You do get a case number. So to sit back and say, well, they must have, like the sister said, well, they must have forgotten. That's why they couldn't find their passport. or their passports got monitored as lost or stolen because they forgot that they had gone through the process. Filing for your passport lost or stolen is something that you will not forget that you've done. Take it from me. I know dealing with Ace Live. Shout out to Ace Live. Ace has probably lost, just being around me in the years that we were hanging out, at least 3-4 times I've gotten calls from Ace that he's lost his passport and had to get a new one. So it does happen. Let's continue on with the video, gentlemen.
Y'all don't understand what's going on. This is the time for second passports. By the way, black people, actually, there's no war in Boston. Say black people, don't worry about it. Black man, go do you. Go get those jeans. Go figure out which girl's gonna be your baby mama. Black girls, don't worry about it. Black man ain't shit. Go get you a white man, pasta lobster. Get that vacation. Everything is all copacetic, baby.
He made a great point. While we're being distracted by the social media back and forth bantering, they are making plans. He said, I work at the U.S. Embassy in Iraq and Afghanistan. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you for giving us that information.
This is important information for anyone who travels or plans to leave the United States. Over the past week, multiple travelers have come forward saying they left the U.S. with valid passports and were stopped overseas because their documents were suddenly flagged as lost or stolen. Now, in several cases, people say they were told the alert came through international systems used by border authorities, meaning their passports were treated as invalid on arrival. What's consistent across these stories is this: the travelers did not report their passports lost or stolen. They were able to depart the U.S. without issue, and they only discovered the problem once they were already in another country. Some were told they had to return to the United States immediately. Others were sent to U.S. embassies to apply for emergency passports, a process that takes a very, very long time. Now, several people say they contacted the State Department, Homeland Security, and passport offices afterward and could not get clear answers about who flagged their passport or why. Now, some reports suggest error.
That's exactly what the first gentleman mentioned. He said he made calls, and yet nobody gave him any clear answers.
Remain unresolved. What matters most right now is
if you hold an American passport and if you're planning to travel in the upcoming future, then this video is for you. Because Americans are landing abroad just to learn that their passports have been reported as lost or stolen. This is viral on social media and hundreds of people have reported that this has happened to them. So just imagine, you've taken your PTO, you've
not just one, not just two, but hundreds. And it's growing.
Taken your vacation and you land in the country just to be told that you can't enter because your passport is being shown as lost or stolen. Now, in many cases, people have been sent back to their country, which is the US, or if there is a US embassy in that particular country, then people have been sent to that US embassy to get an emergency passport. And the worst part is that in many cases, when these people go to the embassy, they are told that the passport is completely valid, which means the data in the Interpol and the data in the American database for passports.
Fears. We're going to answer this question tonight. Is there any way to check before you leave? We're going to hear two answers to this question tonight.
Is not syncing. So here's what you need to do before you make that foreign travel. Before leaving, call NPIC or National Passport Information Center and request them to check if your passport.
He said before you leave, reach out to the National Passport Information Center. During this particular live stream, the phone number is going to come up several times. So be ready. You know me, pen in hand.
Is active or not. This will give you a peace of mind that there is no fraud or forgery going on. Second is carry a secondary ID just in case your passport is reported as lost or stolen. You can prove your identification through the secondary ID. This can be a state issued ID or your driving license. So make sure to take these steps before you travel abroad, just in case the inevitable happens.
Is it possible the system has been compromised or hacked? I doubt it. I believe that this is okay. Before in business, you create a prototype of the product that you want to sell, right? In the movies, when they're about to come out with a particular scene or a particular movie, they normally have a viewing, correct? Meaning a small pool of people in a theater or in a location, and they watch the viewing of that particular scene or that particular movie to see if, hey, if is it going to work, if it's going to work or not. Small. Right now, if you guys think ICE, for example, is the big boys of what's taking place, ICE is just the forerunners. ICE is just the forerunners for what they're going to do with the National Guards in a lot of states and a lot of cities. ICE is just the forerunners to get you accustomed to a policed country, to get you accustomed to being policed. Same thing is going to be that's taking place with passports. This is just an introduction to see how we respond, we react, and then they can adjust and tweak before they really implement what they want to implement. And we're going to talk about some of the policies in this video. So no, I don't believe it was compromised at all. I believe that this is a slow rolling game plan. As I mentioned a moment ago, how do you cook a lobster, a live lobster? How do you cook your crabs? You guys from Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, you know we love us some good old fashioned crab. You DC boys, Baltimore boys, Maryland, you DMV, you know exactly how we love some crabs. If anybody know how to cook them, we do, right? Do we let the water get boiling hot before we put the crab off in there? No. We let that crab, we let those crabs or that lobster slow cook. Put them in there and let that water heat up. So it is with what they plan on doing with many of us. I'm gonna tell y'all something. This has put a spark up under my tail to go ahead and I'm officially today. I didn't even realize it. Today is the official day that I am able to get my Colombian citizenship. It's been 2 years today. Now I can start the process of applying for my citizenship, taking the exam, get my Espanol on track even more. Some of you guys can get a second citizenship by way of a DNA. I don't care if it's the smallest country in Africa, if they are offering it to you, and if your DNA matches that particular country's DNA, and they say, come on through with your ancestry, 1, 2, 3, we accept that. I suggest you take it. Do not get stuck with one passport. Those days are over. The Nomad Capitalist YouTube channel has been telling rich men this forever. Forever. So I'm taking my opportunity to have a second passport and a second citizenship serious, because I can't trust my U.S. citizenship like I once could. I don't know you don't know what direction it's going now. And you live there. You live there full time, and you don't know what they got coming around the turnpike or coming down the turnpike. That's how unstable the scenario is, the situation is. We've never lived through something like this. There has never been a time period where U.S. military has just run rampant, arresting people in elementary schools, kindergartens. They're arresting kids in the kindergartens. We've never seen this before. We've never seen a pandemic before like this in our era. Now, there have been pandemics in the history of the United States, but not in our era. We've never seen the resurgence of racism the way that it is now in the United States. Yeah, we've had systematic racism among the system. Yeah, every once in a while, a white boy run off at the mouth and get popped in the jaw for using the N-word. But now, there are millennials and Gen Zers have never seen white men marching. That's a Gen X thing. Am I lying? Now, these racist groups are marching up and down the streets of your cities. The Aryan Nation, they're back. Klansmen, they're back. No DEI, systematic racism is at an all-time high. Let's take out all those photos of Jackie Robinson and take out all those photos of all the great black historians. Let's only have one black general. No use of having all these colored people that's in the Navy, that's generals and heads of military. We're going to have one black general, if that. We have not seen this in our lifetime. In other words, Trump would have got rid of Colin Powell. That's how much racism is taking place in the United States now. There are kids that have never seen a Aryan Nation walking down the street, or the Klansmen walking down the street, or the Proud Boys walk. They don't know nothing about that. Now it's at an all-time high. You think Charlie Kirk is going to be the last Charlie Kirk? They got white boys in the wing to take his place going from campus to campus. So, me personally, y'all know what Andre says, stay right where you are. I will never try to convince an American to leave America, ever, ever. You never have to worry about that. You'd never have to worry about that. I'm not trying to convince you guys to leave anything. You can't even leave your own city. Statistics show that 68% of y'all will live and die within a 50-mile radius of the hospital in which you were born. You can't even leave outside of the radius of the hospital in which you were born. And some of you guys right now are thinking about, like, wow, I do live 50 miles within the radius of the hospital in which I was born. Some of y'all were born in Philly, you're gonna die in Philly. I'm not trying to convince you to go anywhere. Some of you guys who you travel all year round, but when it comes to living and dying, you were born in DC, you're gonna die in DC. You were born in Kansas, you're gonna die in Kansas. You were born in California, New Mexico, you're gonna die. So most Americans, I'm not about to sit up here and try to convince you that that wall was built for you, because I know you're not going anywhere. This live stream and our channel has always been dedicated to men and women on the fence. Our job is to give you information if you're on the fence of your decision. But all you guys that have already come to the conclusion, my country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, you will never see me tear down America and say America's not great. But you would never see me not say, unlike other people, I have no problem saying, I told you so. Oh, when COVID happened, we had no problem with telling y'all, I told you so. We told y'all to get y'all passports, but you laughed at us. I told you so. You think I didn't have fun during the years of COVID, telling you Americans, I told you so? Oh, I'm not one of those people. I ain't got that type of heart to be like, no, I could say I told you so, but no, I'm going to tell you, I told you so. Taylor Made Dreams told you so. He said it in 2019 and he said it in 2018. Get your passport. Y'all laughed at him. So once the Olympics are done and the World Cup is over, you think you living in hell in the United States now. That brother did not lie. There's a new level of hell that they're preparing for already. We're going to look at some of the stuff tonight. And like I said, this is not a fear-mongering moment. It's not to sit back and have you shaking in your boots. It's to sit back and just inform you. I'm not trying to wake you up or anything. He's woke. No. Like I said, my job is to convince most of y'all to keep your ass right there so the U.S. dollar can stay strong and I can get me, T-Mac, and all these other brothers, and Will, and all the rest of us, Jay Clyde, can get all Richie Mac can get all these tax breaks because we are outside the United States. Ain't nobody trying to sit back and convince y'all of convince you guys of relocating. If you think that I'm trying to sit up here and convince you to get a passport and relocate, nope. My job is to convince most of you Americans, keep your happy tail there because you ain't going nowhere. Keep on paying them high taxes for that high unhealthy food and that high unhealthy water. Keep on paying those gas prices. Keep your mouth shut and just visit countries every once in a while. But don't you ever leave. That's my job. You ain't gonna never worry about me telling you, get out of America, get to the chopper. Not me. I want you to keep your ass right where you are. Since Americans think they know everything, stay right there. Don't you move. You will never see me be dumb enough to tell you, leave America. There is other not me. Not me ever. Keep your ass right there. Stay right there. Since you know everything and you in America's still so great, and it used to be like it was in the 70s and parts of the 80s and the dot-com boom of the 90s. Since you think America is about to be great again, keep your ass right there. Wear your red hat. Go ahead and suck the toes of President Trump, and don't you go nowhere. And I'm gonna watch this show with popcorn in my hand. You better believe that one. Let's continue on, gentlemen.
If you're an American and you have an international trip coming up, you need to see this because supposedly, allegedly, they are canceling people's passports. And this is one of those things that can ruin your life in real time. There are people that have went on vacation, landed in another country, got off the plane, and then were told their passports were canceled. Not by them. They didn't report it. They didn't lose it. They were told it was marked as lost or stolen. Now, mind you, when you check into the airport in the United States, they're letting you check in. They're letting you get on these international flights. Everything is fine. Mind you, when you land in another country, they're saying that it's an alert on your passport. Now, if you go down the rabbit hole of passport not lost or stolen TikTok, you will see that there are numerous people saying this. So why are people's passports being reported stolen? A man said that he was deported from Thailand. A woman said that she went to Rome and almost couldn't get back to the United States. If she didn't have all of her information, birth certificate, ID, passport, social security card, she would have been a Rome citizen. Now you gotta ask yourself, why are they randomly canceling people's passports? Now you gotta remember this, a lot of people said that they wanted to leave the...
Now, of course, we know he's kind of excited in his statement. Of course, if she gets stranded in Rome, and we just saw her story, if she couldn't get a passport, she would have been detained and would have been sent to the U.S. Embassy and would have gotten a passport. Now, those of us who travel know better, but I understand where he's coming from with the severity of the moment. But no, if you get trapped in a country, that doesn't mean that you're going to become a citizen of that country.
United States because of things that's going on. They are willing to move out of the United States where they were born and raised because all of these things are going on. I need you to keep that in mind. And now randomly, they're canceling people's passports. Also, people are saying that they've been detained, sent straight back, or forced to rush to the U.S. Embassy to drop off $300 for an emergency passport on the spot. That's panic money. Right now, there's only one thing that you can actually do.
He made a great point. That's why I put his video up here. Panic money. panic money. There are guys like Will that travel and make sure that they're economically prepared in case they need to use panic money. Guys like T-Mac, guys like Jay Clyde, Jay Fleming, Kings and Dreams, and all you guys that travel. Shout out to you guys. Most of you guys have enough sense to have panic money. Whether you've always had it or you just have enough put to the side that just in case anything happens, you've got panic money. That extra $500 to $1,000 that in your wallet, you always keep a USD $100 bill, because the US dollar in most countries can be transferred over into that country's currency just in case you need it. And something happens with your cards. Panic money. A panic credit card, that card that you don't use, you don't touch. But if anything ever happens overseas to those other cards, you've got panic money. Most people don't think like that. Most people have enough money for the fun and festivities of their trips, but very few are wise enough to think that just in case something happens, I've got extra. I got that USD $100 in my wallet. Like right now, you think I'm kidding? Okay. If I reached into my wallet, there is a USD $50 bill. Right? If anything happens, and I usually keep 100 in here. If anything happens to where I lose my card or a situation happen, I've got at least this. Not now. I live here, but I'm using an example of, let's say I didn't live here. Have $100, no matter what country you go to. I don't care if it's 200 USD. Always have, because USD is the one currency, for the most part, that you can go and spend or go to the airport or the money exchange, the local money exchange, and exchange it for that country's currency until you get another card or until you leave the country, whatever it may be. But you should have at least $100 emergency cash. Like I said, I have my other 50, but I put it in the safe. So I decided to just keep a $50 in this wallet. Panic money. Just in case something happens to your card. Yeah. Even better, have seed phrases. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. He said, if you don't have at least $5,000 when you're traveling, stay home. That's just me. I gotta admit, I agree with that to a certain extent, depending how far you're going and how long you're going to be gone. A lot of people look at 5,000 like it's a lot. I have to agree with you. 5,000 is not as much as people think it is. When you're traveling, yeah, you can burn through that 5,000 really fast. He said, Dre, here's a key fact that I haven't heard the alleged talk about the security inspections to prove their citizenship. The U.S. will have you call your job. That's a good point. Call your job, close family members, and verifying bank accounts. And once again, Will, shout out to Will with the super chat. Will worked for the U.S. Embassy. So this is a great episode to have you, Will, T-Mac, and other guys in the comments. Right, that's what I meant. It depends on how long you're staying. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, Mr. Harris. He said, if you don't have 5,000 in your account, you have a bigger problem than traveling, huh? Let's go back to the video, guys. Absolutely correct.
Call the National Passport Information Center. Have your passport with you. Tell them you're calling to confirm whether your passport is valid or flagged or lost or stolen. This is where we're at right now. So if you're traveling, please don't ignore this. I'm out.
This is pretty big news in the travel world this week, so let me fill you in and give you my take. There have been 5 TikTok videos I've seen of people coming forward saying that they traveled outside of the United States and were stopped by Interpol, the international police, because their passports had been marked as stolen and therefore were invalid. They had to either return home or go to the embassy and get an emergency passport that day. But every single one of these people is saying, I have my passport, I've used it, I didn't mark it stolen. A guy who went to Thailand and had this happen to him said that he called the Department of State, called Homeland Security, the U.S. Passport Office. No one had any information, but from a TikTok comment, he was able to find out that his local passport office had been the one to mark it as stolen. And we don't know why yet. It's like happening this week. I'm seeing all these stories come out. I've seen a few reports say that it's clerical error. My take, my belief is that it is AI. I think that more companies and even the U.S. federal agencies, which is insane, are using AI to do some of these things. And I think it's AI marking people's passports as invalid or stolen. And if you're wondering if you can check if your passport's valid before one of your upcoming trips, unfortunately, you cannot. The only way you'll find out is by traveling outside the country, which is...
Now, the first brother just said, call the Passport Information Center. You're going to hear that a lot. This sister says you won't be able to find out. Remember Fears asked that question earlier, can we find out before we leave? We're going to find out which person is correct. Can we call the Passport Information Center? Or you won't find out. And it's impossible to find out until you leave. We're going to have the answer to that question toward the end of the video. Promise you.
When you perhaps least want to find that out. That's all the information I have. If it happens to you, all I can say is that you should know the process for getting an emergency passport from a nearby embassy. Look up the information before your trip and hope it doesn't happen to you. I hope it doesn't happen to more people.
If you thought that blew your mind, listen to this girl. Completely wiped out of the passport database. They don't even know who she is.
This video is not super fun to make. However, I was encouraged to make it by the office of my congressional representative, which is a crazy thing to say out loud. Someone or something in...
So a lot of people are reaching out to Congress now. This young lady says she was encouraged by the congressional representative. Another young man is going to talk about that he's reached out to the senators and congressmen as well. And they told him to do certain things. So we're going to hear a lot of stuff like this throughout the night. And yes, this young lady was completely wiped out. The one that's on the screen now, she was completely wiped out of the passport database. Not lost, not stolen, wiped away. Will says this, and shout out to International Quiet Storm here, as well as Theo. He said, most countries won't let you use currency. They require you to use a valid credit card. Even if you have cash, it's better than it's better to have a good credit card, and that's what we do. Will, absolutely correct. We have an emergency credit card as well as the cash, so that you can get a credit card. It's good that my bad. It's good. It's better to have good credit so you can get a credit card. This is for return purposes. Absolutely correct. And that's a good point. Not a card that this is going to be your card to have fun with. This is not your party card. This is the card that just in case something happens and you need to get back home, or you need to get you some meals because you lost your credit cards and you have your emergency card put to the side. That's what this card is for until you get home. Theo says, this is why I travel with a copy of my birth certificate. That's what one young lady said. U.S. cash. Then you can reapply as necessary. And T-Mac says this. It's too late for me to maintain privacy. Once you have held a Department of Defense security clearance, They know everything. Even foreign countries would know that something was different. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Let's continue on and hear this woman's story.
The Trump administration wiped my existence from the U.S. passport database. Let me explain. On December 19th, 2025, I received a notice at 2:17 in the morning, local time here in Los Angeles, that my access to the Global Entry Traveler Program had been revoked. And the reason for my revocation was that I no longer met the requirements for the Global Entry Program. Now, the requirements are not having been charged with a felony, check, never been charged with a felony, having valid identification and documents, check, I have valid documents, my passport was not expired. And one of the last things on the eligibility list was not under investigation for terrorism. Well, that exact day, Pam Bondi sent a letter to the FBI requesting that pro-trans activists be labeled as domestic terrorists. I'm shaking. So, as many of you guys know, I am a pro-trans activist. I have worked with the ACLU during the U.S. versus Scrimeti case. I have a trans partner. I have a trans sister. I'm very blessed to have many trans friends, and I have worked as a healthcare provider providing gender-affirming care for trans youth. And needless to say, I freaked the fuck out. I did also contact friends of mine who are attorneys and friends of mine who work in the federal government, and I was told there is a chance that this could have just been a clerical error. And so for the sake of my mental health, I just went with that. And they told me to go ahead and apply to renew my passport online and see what happens next. So last week, I did just that, and I applied on the U.S. passport website to renew my passport online as it expires this coming year. I was then told that no one with my identity was found anywhere in the U.S. passport system. At this point, I got in contact with my congressional representative and his office, and was told by one of the field staff here in Los Angeles that this specific notice was unusual and that there had been a record of clerical errors where people had been removed from the passport system because their passport was incorrectly marked lost or stolen.
So before she goes any further, so she's saying that she's not a rare case. She's not the only one. She's saying that this has happened with others, and the government says that it's just clerical errors. Now, no system is perfect, so we know that errors take place. Let's not be foolish and say that we don't understand that this could occur under a clerical error. Here's the problem, though. The problem still remains that it's happening to too many people under this administration suddenly. If it were the first Trump administration, and we would have noticed this as travelers, we of all people would have noticed this during the first Trump administration. We would have noticed that if this was taking place during the 2 terms of the Biden administration, we who are travelers, we would have noticed if these type of glitches in masses would have been taking place. Well, during the Biden administration, nobody was really traveling because of the pandemic. And then when we could travel, we would have still noticed if it was taking place in masses. It's not a coincidence that all of this Gestapo behavior is taking place, and now it's happening with people's passports. It's not a clinical error. It's not a glitch. Now, I could say allegedly, of course, but we know our country. I'll say this again to my fellow Americans. We could play stupid all we want. We could play dumb. We could play naive. We could play like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, it's only something that happens periodically. We can pretend. But the one thing that we do know is our country. And we know how conniving, how slick, how twisted, how evil, how demonstrative our governments from the citywide to the grassroots, all the way to our federal government. We know our Supreme Court. We know how grimy our congressmen are. We know how shisty each one of our presidents have been. We know that there are times when they ask our men of the military to do things that are against their moral standards. We know our country. We can play dumb all we want to. We can pretend like, oh, that can't be. Nah, that's not happening. Not my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. We can pretend. But the one thing I know about Americans, we may be dumb about a lot of stuff, but we are not dumb when it comes to how our country is. Let's continue on with the video. And Will says this. Will says, if you don't have money for deportation, the U.S. will give you a ticket. And this is true. At the U.S. Embassy, you'll have to pay the money back or you can't use your passport. This is one of the things that I did a video on this years ago, and I did it again. And I need to do an updated version for 2026. What are the 7 things that can keep you from getting or using your passport? One of the things that can hold you back from getting or using a passport is what Will is mentioning right now. If you don't have money for deportation, the U.S., meaning the U.S. Embassy in whatever country you're in, will get you a ticket and collect from your taxes if you don't pay by a specific date. Absolutely correct. You will owe that money back for flight and or the cost of that passport, that new passport. If you don't pay, you will be flagged from getting a new passport. He's 1000% correct. For guys that don't know, if you lose your passport and you don't have the money to just pay for it right there, and you don't have the money for that flight, no problem. The U.S. Embassy will pay for it, but you will be paying that money back. That is absolutely correct. Let's go back to the video, gentlemen. A lot of guys don't know that, Will.
Now, if that doesn't make you go, what, how, who, I don't know what will. If it gets to a point you don't like what's going on here and you're vocal about what you don't like about what's going on here, they will make it where you can't even leave and you will have to deal with what's going on here. I'm saying, people, it's getting a little frustrating that people won't look at the bigger picture.
This is why I say, do not travel unless you have an abundance of money. And when I say travel, I'm talking about out of this country. There are so many stories of people, and America screwing them, don't get me wrong, but I'm telling you how to take care of you. There's so many people talking about, I went abroad, I went here, I went there, and I found out that America canceled my passport, or it was reported lost or stolen, and and it's a clerical error from America, right? And then they have to go to the embassy and they're like calling people for money because it costs like $300 to $500 to get whatever right to get back home. That, oh my God, what a night. I would be shaking with anxiety. My worst fear is going to another country to visit, have a good time, and being stuck, being detained by some. Oh my God. But listen, if it can all be cleared up for $500, oh my God, bro, take what you need, right? I remember making a video about how y'all romanticize going and staying at hostels and traveling the cheapest way possible and doing this and that, backpacking across countries where you don't know their language, all for the sake of saying you traveled somewhere and had an experience. And people were like, well, if you got to do it like that, you got to do it like that. All I was ever saying is get your money right before you leave home. Right? Don't go over there being an ugly American, right? There's some shit you got to get together before you leave this beautiful country. And that's one of them. Yo, if you don't have all the money you need to take the trips, have the stays and spend what you need to spend to get through, and a little reserve and some savings just in case you have an emergency and all that, don't leave the country.
Correct.
Go to Vegas.
He's 1000% correct. We were just talking about that, gentlemen. Just to reiterate, you need to have that panic money. You need to have that money put. There's no way in the world you should be going to the U.S. Embassy and hoping the embassy give you a free passport and a free flight home. And then you have to get back to the States. And just like Will said, You're gonna have to pay it or pay out of your taxes, or you can't even use that new passport that they gave you once you get back home. You should be at the embassy saying, I lost my passport. How much is new to get a new one? Okay, I got the money for it. No problem. Always have an extra emergency credit card, guys. You can have $1 million in your credit card, right? Or your own, not $1 million on your credit card, but $1 million in your bank account. If something happens to your wallet, doesn't matter how much money you got in your bank account, does it? But if you have that spare credit card separate from your wallet, you left it at the Airbnb, you didn't take it to the club with you. If something happens, you still got that other credit card for panic money or credit cards until you get back home. Shout out to you guys being here. And my brother Top Notch Rocker in the building says this. He said, greetings, Dre. He said, Philly Dime got robbed. I noticed that you said that in Vietnam. I need to go ahead and reach out to Philly, man. We haven't talked in a couple of years, but I'm going to go ahead and reach out to him tonight and find out how's he doing, what's going on in Vietnam, because a lot of people are going to Vietnam now. So we'll find out. My brother Kang in the building. Shout out to you. Kang said, your money shouldn't be funny. Always have a credit card with an 8K limit. Absolutely correct. Exactly. You can't be out here traveling across the ocean with $500 with the fever in your pocket, in your account. That's not going to fly, because anything can happen. You're absolutely correct. Anything can happen.
Go to LA, go to New York, go to Miami, whatever. If you're in the country, you get back home, right? But do not leave this American soil if you don't have bread to get back if it all goes wrong. I would say for each person going, have 5.
I'm going to tell y'all this. This is Andre's theory. It's just Andre's hypothesis, or not hypothesis, but Andre's point of view. Have money to get to another country, or get to the country that you want to get to if something pop-offs in country A. You leave America, you go to country A. Something's happening. Make sure that you're in an economic position to be able to get yourself to another country just in case something happens in country A. Americans assume that the only place that you can run back to is America. That's what they assume. They assume this. I assume regarding you men that if it doesn't work out in America, if it doesn't work out in country A, you can still make it in country B. If things don't work out here, if it didn't work out here in Colombia for Andre, and now Andre and Andre, we have backup countries and a backup plan for other countries. Don't think that we're just going to be sitting in Colombia just scratching our heads like, what are we going to do? We have backup countries. And guess what country is not part of our backup plan? America. I don't think Americans give us credit for when we say we ain't coming back. Times gonna get tight. Times get tight for everybody. We ain't coming back. You gonna get a cold. Yeah, I'm gonna get a cold, but I'll be in another country. I ain't coming back. She divorced you. Maybe she did. I ain't coming back. I don't think Americans really understand when we say we are not coming back just to visit. We are guests in our own home country. I go to America, I'm a guest. Or I'm a business partner. I come there either for business or I come there to visit people. I'm a guest. That is not my home. It's my heritage, but it's my country 'tis of thee. But if you think if times ever got tight for Andre and I in Colombia that I'm running back to this, y'all got me twisted. When I tell you, and mention to you guys, and you guys mentioned to me that you are not going back to the States to live full time ever again, maybe part time, but never full time again. I understand guys that even go back to the United States to get your money right. Let's say something happens and you need to go back to get your money right. I understand that, because you plan on leaving again, but living full time for the rest of your days, forget about it, Americans. Stop looking at us as if when times get tight, you'll be back. No, if you see me back, dude, times must have really got bad in all the other countries. There are a lot of us that aren't coming back. Get used to it. There are over 10, almost 11 million people that have left the United States that aren't coming back. I'm in so many Reddit WhatsApp groups. Reddit expat groups on Reddit. These people have been, I thought my little mere decade being gone outside the United States was something, right? Man, I've been in these Reddit groups. These people been gone for 35 years, 42 years, 37 years. I'm like, yeah, let me ask questions. Because these people have been gone for quite a while and enjoying their best life. Enjoying their best life. Kid you not. There are people that have not gone back. That's one of the reasons I love watching the nomad capitalist, the YouTuber, the white guy with the glasses. He ain't going back. My brother from down under, them Australian brothers are in the building. Shout out to you, brother. He said, I had a hiccup in South Africa last year. I had to catch an early flight the next morning. I had to pay for hotel stay. Good thing I had panic money. It's amazing that you were mentioned. I'm going to bring up our story. After the trip, went smooth like silk. You remind me, shout out to you, brother, with the $10 love, the Australian dollar. Yeah, he even renounced his citizenship. Absolutely correct, T-Mac. He was serious. So he's no longer an American citizen. He's serious. I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for the lineage of our children, I'd have gave mine up too. I've been going too long. I don't benefit from my American citizenship, except for maybe, true story. Do you know how I benefit from my American citizenship? True. I mean this. I benefit because of tax breaks I get. And I benefit because the American passport can get into certain countries without a visa. That's it. And I don't say this in a negative way. I want you guys to realize I'm not saying like you give up his citizenship. He's evil. I say he's evil. And the third reason is lineage. My kids should have the right to use their U.S. citizenship under their dad's DNA. And who am I to take that away from my kids, right? So the tax breaks, being able to get into other countries without using a visa for the most part, and my lineage. Other than that, I don't benefit from my U.S. citizenship. Dude, I vote every vote. What American road have I driven on in the last 10 years? What about a school? Do I have any children that are going to use in American public schools? What about even the electrical grids? Am I using American electrical grids? Am I using American military protecting me day and night? No. What about the police force? If I get robbed, is it the American police that's protecting me? No. What about the school teachers in the United States? No. I've been gone so long, I haven't taken advantage of anything but the tax breaks and the passport loopholes and lineage. That's it. And some of you guys, it sounds somewhat far-fetched to even imagine you saying that you don't take advantage of America. I don't. Put in the comments if you think of it. Can you think of it? Because I can't think of anything other than lineage, other than passport opportunities, you know, not having to fill out a visa in certain countries, and all the tax breaks I get. Can you guys think of anything else that I can't think of that I would take advantage of as far as my citizenship? I don't cuss and fuss about Trump. I don't cuss about the mayor of New York. I mean, the mayor of Detroit or the mayor of Tampa. The two cities in which I stayed in the most, even though I stayed in many other cities. I don't fuss about my Florida senator. Y'all don't see me coming on here every day, got a reason to cuss out Trump. I don't. I'm gonna tell y'all honestly, I personally, just on a personal side, not on the information side, not on the journalistic side, I personally have no reason to cuss out Donald Trump. He does nothing against me, but he does nothing for me. The most that we're coming to lately is Trump trying to militarize the West. So he's trying to go from Greenland all the way down and use the U.S. military to take over everything from Cuba to Venezuela to anything else he could take over, right? That's the most I can say. When you don't live in the States so long, you're not taking advantage of the day-to-day things that the government does. So if it were just me and I wasn't gonna have any kids, and if I had a passport that could get through to many countries, like if I had a Japanese passport, I would have no problem giving up my and I wasn't getting these tax breaks. If I wasn't getting these three things, I would have no problem giving up my citizenship because I don't use it anyway. It's like you know how you had them dudes in the hood? They got that old Camaro on bricks. It's a 1971 classic Camaro. Little bit of rust. No transmission. There's not even a motor in there, just wires when you pop the hood. It's sitting on bricks, but it's been sitting in his driveway for the last 10 years. That's America to me. It's in my driveway. It belongs to me. But as far as use, there's no transmission, there's no motor. Even though it is a classic Camaro. It's mine. But technically, I don't use it. It's just sitting in the driveway, taking up space. I wish I could put it another way. And a lot of you guys look at me like, wow, what is he talking about? I'm telling you, when you don't live in the States, a lot of the stuff you don't use. A lot of the stuff I vote for, I don't use. A lot of the senators I vote for, I vote against. A lot of judges in my community for the state of Florida, when the midterms come up, and I vote for the state of Florida, I don't use none of those senators and congressmen and city and aldermen and mayors. I don't use none of the judges. I don't use none of them. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by you'll be gone for so long that your citizenship will be just like a Camaro sitting in your driveway on bricks. And I hope I gave you a little clarity to some of you guys. He said, I don't like either party. Yep. Neither of the two parties persecuted any of the EP files. Yep. Except for more than two people. None of them have any moral grounds. Biden sat on the files and did nothing, just like Trump. Yep, just like Trump. He said, I do use my representation, and they actually have been helpful. My representative, my state representatives. And I can see that because I've got the White House on speed dial and my state representatives on speed dial, even though I'm not living in the state. I'm living in the States. I'll say that again. And I've had this for years. Even though I don't live in the States, I do have the White House on speed dial. And you can leave a voicemail for your U.S. Senator or House of Representatives. You can do that. You can leave a voice message. Yes, you can. International Quiet Storm. He said, Drake capping, fellas. He has taken full control of the steering wheel on the road to righteousness. Praise God. Praise God. Jesus walk with him. I had a little El Guapo moment. Yeah, man. I am said he said excellent analogy. Yeah, I own it. I own the Camaro sitting there, but I don't use it. You know, and I kind of picked that up from being in the Reddit groups with millions of, you know, I'm in 2 or 3, 4 Reddit groups, and it's thousands. I won't say millions, but thousands of people that have been gone for years, man, and I mean for years. He said to get a program or countries that have a path to citizenship program in place through their residency program. Absolutely correct. You have at least 7 of them. Rwanda, a lot of guys don't sleeping on Rwanda, man. Rwanda doing some good things. It's starting to turn itself around slowly but surely. It still goes through a little bit of civil wars here and there off and on, but it's getting a lot better than what it used to be. For those that are Africa, that are like Africa, is one of them. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Let's continue on with the video, gentlemen. This is not about Andre or citizenships. It's all about the passport.
$1,000 extra, right? That you're ready to spend to get home. That's all I'm saying.
If you don't have your passport, I suggest you go get it. They just passed the law. I think it's still in the Foreign Affairs. It's not hit the House yet. But they're trying to be able to revoke anyone's passport or revoke anyone from getting a passport just because, for whatever reasons they see fit. So if you got one, renew it, whatever the case may be. If you don't got one, go ahead and get one now, because they is not playing. They definitely trying to keep us here.
They started this process last summer with Marco Rubio. I've been talking about this for a while. I remember when in I think it was November. Remember that one senator, one congressman that's from Colombia put forth a proposal in regards to regulating passports and things like that. Who could get one, who shouldn't be able to get one. And I was mentioning the guys, I said, wait a minute, Marco Rubio's been working on something like that for forever. Now Marco Rubio's is starting to come in fruition. So that's what the one brother was talking about. But he said it wrong. He said they passed a law, but now it's a bill in the House. It's a bill in the House. They didn't pass a law. It's just a bill right now. But the fact that they're putting together a bill to limit how passports are given out, how passports are used in the United States, the so-called land of the free, our so-called land of the free, makes you wonder.
If you're American and you have an international trip coming up, I know you're probably panicking right now if you've been seeing the viral videos of people saying that they went on vacation, they traveled, got to their destination, and then upon arrival, they found out that their passports were canceled, and it was not canceled by them. They were told that their passport was canceled because it was reported lost or stolen. See, the thing is, it's not easy to report it as lost and stolen. You have to go through a bunch of different steps. It's not a simple clerical error. And that can be terrifying real time because now you're in this country. You don't have anyone to support you and you don't have access. So people are reporting that they've been detained, they've been sent right back, or they had to rush that to the embassy and then spend hundreds of dollars, $300 and upwards, to get an emergency passport on the spot. The reality of the situation right now, we do not know how often this happens because they don't keep track of how many times passports that have been reported stolen was correct or it was a false report. But we do know currently it is a growing problem. And people are wondering, is this a method of revenge or control? They don't want people to travel? As of right now, we know that there is one way that you can check. If you call the National Passport Information Center, I'm putting the information on the screen, they can assist you. Make sure when you're on the phone with them, you have your passport with you because they're going to ask you information, and you're simply calling to ask to see if your passport is currently valid or if it's been reported as stolen, just to make sure. They have the ability to check in real time. However, there is another rumor right now on TikTok that if you send in an FOIA request, that they can also assist you. Just to be clear, that request is for if your passport is canceled. That's
correct. The other sister's video that I didn't post, she was telling you to request this form. This sister is telling you don't do that unless your passport is actually lost. She's 100% correct. The other sister, who I didn't put on here, didn't know what she was talking about.
when they do the investigation with that request. If you send that request in, that takes months at some point. It will be useless. You will probably miss your flight. Plus, if your passport isn't canceled, they don't have anything to investigate. Now, a little bit of the scary part is there is no way to lock your passport. So if you were to check and then all of a sudden it was labeled lost or stolen after checking, there is no way to stop that. The best way that we can mitigate that at the current moment is to call that National Passport Information Center.
MAGA Republicans have introduced a new bill that would give Marco Rubio thought police power to revoke U.S. passports. It's House Resolution 5300 and 248 pages long. The MAGA Republican who introduced this legislation is Brian Mast from Florida's 21st Congressional District.
Remember, Marco Rubio used to be a senator out of my great state of Florida. We hated Marco Rubio, man. We didn't like Marco Rubio at all. He said that form could take up to, the application could take up to from 30 to 90 days, just like the one sister was saying, to validate if your passport is officially lost or in the system is lost. And like she said, don't file it unless you know that your passport is lost.
Mast is the same guy who publicly voiced for supporting the kicking out of terrorist sympathizers when he was talking about Mahmoud Khalil, who was just a Palestinian green card holder who was at Columbia University protesting for the rights of Palestinians to live. Mind you, Marco Rubio has also claimed the power to designate people terrorist supporters based solely on what they think and say. That's exactly what the bill says. It explicitly says the Secretary of State shall refuse to issue a passport to any individual who has been charged with. The first red flag is right here. You don't even have to be convicted of anything. All they have to do is charge you and they can refuse to give you a passport. But it also says that the Secretary of State can also refuse to give you a passport if the Secretary determines that you have knowingly aided, assisted, abetted, or otherwise provided material support to an organization that the Secretary has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. And the bill also talks about revocation, that the Secretary of State can revoke a passport that has previously been issued already. Here's where they get you. The key here is material support. How are they defining that? The term material support means the provision of any property, tangible, meaning things you can touch, or intangible, meaning things you can't touch, like thoughts or service. There are all the different examples of material support, which could be expert advice, like, I don't know, a journalist being on TV explaining a problem to us. Communications equipment, I don't know, that could be like anybody sharing a post on social media or a content creator coming on here and debunking lies. And this was interesting. Personnel, one or more individuals who may be or include oneself. I don't know, that could be anybody attending a protest. All in all, don't worry, because if your passport is denied or revoked, you can always submit an appeal. Back to Marco Rubio.
So the Orange Dude goes in his interview that they've already found 63,000 people. They've already named them and list them of people he's going to ruin, right? And they're looking for more. Then they put this bill in 5300 to strip people of their applications for their passports and actual passports of citizens. This is your United States citizens. They're going to remove their passports. And it says that so Marco Rubio and his department, Marco Rubio will be the one who sets the policy This bill doesn't even set the policy. It gives Rubio the right to set the policy. Rubio has claimed that the power to designate people terrorist supporters based solely on what they think and say.
Does this not sound familiar? Come on, Generation X. Come on, this is us. Does this not sound familiar? I'm not looking for millennials to understand what I'm about to say. I'm not looking for Gen Z or the Alpha to understand what I'm saying. Does this not sound familiar in my Umar voice? Peculiar. The government having the right to say somebody is a terrorist. Did they not do this in the 40s during World War II with the Japanese? The 50s? Did they not do this with Martin Luther King and others and claim people were communists? And all you had to say was my neighbor was a communist, and Director Hoover would become knocking on their door, the director of the FBI. Does this not sound familiar? America's doing nothing but blowing off old playbooks. We're acting as if this stuff is new. We acting like encampments are new. And America has never detained a mass amount of people. This is not new. This is just the same playbook updated with AI, if you will. Same thing they said about the Japanese Americans. And did they not detain them? Did they not detain our Islamic brothers and sisters after 9/11? Were they not attacked, incarcerated, in many cases detained? During the Vietnam War, late 60s, early 70s, were not people considered communists because they didn't agree with what the government had to say? And now, once again, we got Marco Rubio blowing off the same playbook in which the government can just take what you said and take your passport. Take your passport. Shout out to my man, Ben Dixon. So if y'all think that this is impossible, it's just impossible, you need to read American history. And like I said, us Gen Xers, we lived through much of this. We were alive for that late 60s, early 70s, even though we were kids. We were around after 9/11 when every time you turn around, if you were Islamic, American government was coming for you. We were around for this. We were around to where our parents could tell us the stories and grandparents could tell us the stories of World War II. We were around for that. When they were around for and listen to their stories of when they were locking up anybody that was Japanese descent. It's not new. Will says this. He said, have you noticed how many Army National Guard bases are located near impoverished areas? I did not know that, but I'm going to write that down and do some homework. That's a good point. That is a good point. Good tip, Will. Nothing in our country is a coincidence, gentlemen. It's not happenstance. It's not happenstance. It's not a coincidence in our country. So stop thinking that, or after this live stream, they're just talking happenstance. They're just talking a coincidence of these people and their passports. It's just a coincidence that people are going through this under this new regime. It's just a coincidence that they're kicking indoors of kindergarten classes and snatching up kids in the kindergarten because their parents are illegal. It's just a coincidence. It's a coincidence that they're all of a sudden now in the black community. I just watched a video yesterday, right? Young man had just made it. I think it was just walking from somewhere. Could have been walking from school. Could have been walking anywhere. The young man was about a good 17, 18 years old, right? He had just put his foot on his front steps. Some of you may have seen the video. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere in the trunk, hey, young bruh, come here. They use a brother to try to lure a brother. This is how grimy our government is. Young brother he had just grabbed the rail up, walking to the house. He's put his foot on the first step. It's only like 5 or 6 steps. Put his foot on the first step to walk upstairs, to walk into his house. Hey, brother, come here, in a friendly tone. Let me speak to you for a second. He turned around. He said, who, me? That young brother jet right in his house, right in time before ICE ran into his house. Young brother, just regular everyday brother. So if y'all think that they running up into white communities and Latin communities are the only communities that they're coming for, like I always say, when in American history they never came for black folks and they came for everybody else? Put that in the comments. I would love to hear about that historical moment. When did they come for white folks and they never did come for black folks? The first person that died for America is Crispus Attucks, a brother. They've always come for brothers if they came for white folks, Latin folks, Asian folks. You are not obsolete. And I mean this. I think the stupidest thing that I've seen on social media is black people trying to convince black people this ain't got nothing to do with us. We ain't never seen the era that it ain't got nothing to do with us. Name something that it ain't got nothing to do with us and it was negative in the United States. Do you know that the war on drugs started because they noticed, listen, those drugs, I mean, and I don't mean the 1990 war on drugs. I mean the original war on drugs. They sold it to America. You can do the homework on this. They sold drug use being negative in America. You know how they sold it? White people getting addicted? No. They sold it by saying, starting with marijuana, that it caused black people, especially black men, to do things to white women. Do you know how they sold alcohol prohibition to white people? Was it something moral? No, do your homework. They sold on commercials that alcohol causes black men to attack white women. And they sold it. You can look that one up. You know what? That's a good one to look up for Black history. Some of y'all don't even know that they actually were able to sell the white community by letting them know that this is something that you don't want in your community because those darkies are coming for you once they get drunk or once they get high. What's my point in saying that? There has never been a time period in American history where black people can say, that ain't got nothing to do with us. You are a fool, black people. I'll say it again. You're a fool if you think that there's ever going to be an era in American history, present, future, current, that will take place and it won't have nothing to do with you. You are next, whether you want to accept it or not. Laugh at your Latin brothers and laugh at that. This is the funny part. The number one minority illegal immigrant group in the United States aren't even Latin. Look up your stats. It's Asians. Asians make up the majority of immigrants and illegal immigrants in the United States, not Latins. But they sold you on that because you don't read, you don't do your homework, and you believe anything that Trump would say. And that's why ICE is now running rampant through your neighborhoods. That's why you now have National Guards. And if you think that they're going to delete just a white man who was in the medical field and a mother who was in a truck just driving and dropped her child off at school, and this mother was pregnant. If you think they have no problem with killing a pregnant white woman, a white man who was in the medical field, and all the other men that they deleted, if you think they don't have a problem with deleting them, bruh, you crazy. If they have no problem with deleting their own kind, what do you think they're gonna come for you? You think they're gonna be like, no, we ain't gonna delete that. That's a black man. We ain't gonna put no hot ball in his back. They've been putting hot balls in our back for centuries. So all you brothers that sit back and think, I don't need no passport, I'm good, man. I love America. This is my country, man. They ain't gonna do nothing. What they doing to them Latins, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I will vote for Donald Trump, right? Y'all laughing at him. I will vote for Donald Trump. Why y'all laughing? They coming after y'all. Like I said, that one video said it all with that young man. He had just stepped on his porch. Hey, young brother, come here for a second. That young brother turned around, was like, oh, hell no. And he just shot straight into his house. And they coming for your passports too.
Even if what they say doesn't include a word about a terrorist organization or terrorism. He can just say, we don't like what you said, and remove your passport. Right. If this bill gets passed, they are going to remove any left-leaning person's passport. They're just saying it. They're not even hiding it. They're not even, and if you're right-leaning, if you talk about Israel, if you say anything bad about Israel, you're going to have your passport removed as well. Because that is one of the ones they're saying. They don't want any anti-Israel.
Shout out to Average Man in the building. My man. Glad to see you here. With the $5 love. He said, dang, Dre. He said, just go ahead. Call me old already. Shout out to GNX, man. We do big things. Great show, bro. Appreciate it, Average Man. Continue to do what you do. Let's continue on, gentlemen.
Wow, what the fuck is going on in my country?
Okay, so a lot of people are concerned right now about what's going on with the U.S. passports. There are stories of people not being able to enter back into the country. There are people not being allowed into other countries, so then being deported back to the U.S. There are people saying that they're having issues with global entry or being taken off of the program because they are no longer eligible. Obviously, something is happening.
I caught that. T-Mac. Just in case you did, you caught it too. Nobody's talking about that brother that got killed. They only mentioned the white people. That's true. Nobody's talking about the amount of people they've killed or deleted. Nobody's talking. A lot of people think that the ISIS only deleted like maybe 5 or 6 people. No. No, actually, let me look it up. That's what we got the Chat GPT for. It'll give us the information as soon as possible. In the United States, ICE has killed, or people have died by the hands of ICE over the last few months. Could you give me the amount of individuals that have died over the last few months in the United States, or over the last year in the United States by the hands of the ICE agents? What number is that?
Over the last year, 32 individuals. Over the past year in the United States, ICE reported 32 deaths of people who were in its custody. Additionally, in terms of deaths resulting from agent shootings, there were 4 deaths recorded from mid-2025 to early 2026 during 16 shooting incidents involving ICE or other immigration agents.
So 33 people have died in all?
Yes, combining those figures, you'd have 32 deaths of individuals in ICE custody, plus 1 from agent shootings, making a total of 33.
Thank you. $33 people in all, not including all the women that are saying that ICE has been touching them. The ICE agents have been touching the women in the vicinities, not vicinities, but in the facilities. Yeah, this is going to be one for the record books. And you know what? So crazy. Deep in my mind, I really think that this is just the beginning. I know some people think it can't get any worse than this. I really believe that it's about to get worse than this. I don't think it's going to slow down. I think the only way it's going to slow down is even if Trump no longer can use the House or the Senate, because it looks like he's about to lose the House and the Senate, right? He still has the executive pen. He still is commander-in-chief over one of the strongest militaries in the world, domestic and foreign, with a pen. He's the leader of generals. And we all know where ICE is going back to is this incarceration. This mass incarceration. I lived through it, so I saw it in the 90s. And I recognize it in the 2020s. Oh, it's not the end of days. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's just end of American days. Rome thought it was the end of days, too. Mesopotamia, they thought it was end of days. The Persians, the Greeks, they thought it was the end of days. Babylonians thought it was the end of days. Each empire, Mongolians, thought it was the end of days. The Asian empires, once they started falling, they thought it was the end of days. It wasn't the end of days. It was the end of an empire. The countries didn't disappear. You can still go see China, even though the last emperor, so-called, that type of empire died off. You can still go to Mongolia, even though that power has died off. You can still go to Greece, even though the Greek, through Alexander the Great, don't rule the world anymore. You can still go visit Rome, even though the Romans no longer rule the world. You can still go visit UK. Even though the British, the sun now does set on the British Empire. And for those of you who know what that means, it means that there was a time where the British Empire was on all four corners of the earth and the sun never set on the British Empire. Now it does. In the end of days, might be up on the United States, but you can still visit the United States. You'll still see American citizens walking around. You'll still see commerce and capitalism taking place. But the power of position and manipulation, the way that we manipulate and the way that we bully, might not be what it used to be. We may not be able to bully as much as we normally do in the near future. That's going to be the fall of the United States. It's not going to be war on our lands. It's going to be the fact that countries, smaller countries, are going to come together and will no longer let the bully control the ball, whether it be through brick or maybe not through brick, whether it be through saying, hey, we don't need your product, United States, we'll go over here for that. Whatever it may be, no empire lasted. None, not a one. Countries last. Yes, they do. Empires, not so much. So I sit back with my popcorn in hand, like many of you do, and I look at the fall of an empire. And just like most empires, even those that had the strongest military in the world, like the Mongolians, like the Babylonians, like the Mesopotamians, like the Greeks, the strongest military of their time. Just like the Asians in Japan, in China, in Hong Kong. Just like UK at one point in time with their military. They couldn't bully anymore. If you ever notice, the fall of countries occur when they can no longer bully smaller countries. That's the major fall. If you ever notice and backtrack on the history of most empires, they fail because either they stretched their military too thin, or the military couldn't keep up with technology, or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, they fail because they could no longer bully smaller regions. In America is following the same pattern. The reason why everything is taking place right now, gentlemen, is because our politicians, whether we want to admit it or not, are on panic mode. They see what's taking place outside of America, whether the average American citizen sees it or not. They recognize countries are poison themselves in positions to no longer need America. Why do you think America has all of a sudden run to South America? No more leverage and bullying in the Middle East, huh? Oh, we can bomb this country and bomb that country, but they don't care, do they? Do you really think America cared about Venezuela to set them free? America get less than a damn about Venezuela. They don't care about Brazil. They don't care about Colombia. Panama? No. We never have. That's the part. It's not bad. It's just a fact. We never have cared about these locations. There's already talks in the making behind the scenes. Mexico, Panama, Colombia, Brazil are even considering behind the backs of America. You can look it up, to try to create their own form of might to ward off what's coming down the turnpike. And what is that? America trying to take over all of the West. America, like Trump said, we're bringing all our troops to our side of the world, the Western side of the world. We're not going to spend all our troops out there spread all over the place. For the first time in U.S. history, we're bringing all our troops this way. We're bringing most of our troops here. You've got a third of the U.S. Navy right in the Caribbean right now. A third of the U.S. Navy is in the Caribbean right now. All of us who have traveled have never seen a third of the U.S. Navy in these shores. Why? Why did America give $40 billion to a country named Argentina all the way down? I know they have minerals and other objects in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. I understand. And I understand it's America versus China. Who's going to be the big dog? I understand. But I also see America panicking because other countries are waking up just like they woke up to Rome, just like they woke up to Greece, just like they woke up to the Mongolian Empire. Smaller countries are slowly doing the same thing that they've always done. They're waking up and they're realizing that we are stronger together than we are separate. And the same thing that happened to all those empires. Same thing that happened to all those empires. Happened to ours. Alexander says this, come on, Dre. You don't know the whole story behind that. Of course I don't. Never said I did. The criminals are smart. And they have to be smart. Yes, our politicians are smart. And they have to be smart. And no matter how smart the criminals are, empires fall. No matter how smart and conniving the Roman empires were and the criminal elements and whoever it was that were for them or against them, they fail. No matter how strong their military, the strongest military on planet Earth at that time period, fail. No matter who was the criminal elements during the Mongolian Empire, didn't matter how strong that and large that military is, and we still use military tactics that the Mongolian used. We still use some of those tactics today. And guess what? They fail. The Persian Empire, amazing, strong in numbers, ruled the world. They fail. Alexander the Great took over to where he was like there were no more lands to conquer. The Greeks failed. So no matter who we consider the good guys or the bad guys, empires come, and what hurts the heart of anybody that was raised in an empire is this: empires go. It hurts our hearts to acknowledge, if we were Roman, that the Roman Empire was falling. It would destroy our hearts if we were Mongolian to say that our country that ruled most of Europe has fallen. Asian empires, Japan, Hong Kong, China, anyone? Anybody that would try to tell us that our empires would fall if we were raised in those environments, we'd consider them a fool and a traitor. Why do you think most of us feel the same way about our empire? The U.S. empire. How dare you say that our days are numbered? I didn't say yours, I said ours. When it comes to empires, they come and they go and another one comes along. If it happens in our lifetime, it happens. But if it doesn't, it's still going to happen. And we as Americans shun the idea of ever our empire. We're the last of the great empires. Our country was built by everyone. Okay. So everyone had an influence in regards to our empire, right? You do know that the Persian Empire was set up with the strength of everybody being involved that they conquered. You do know that, right? You do know that the Mongolian Empire was strengthened by those that they conquered, right? You do know that the Roman Empire, everybody was considered a slave or a servant or a worker, except for the Romans. In other words, the Roman Empire was built off of all the people that worked for the Romans. We're not the first country to take people who are immigrants of the empire and build an empire. We didn't invent that. So all you guys that think that, yes, America's the greatest because people from different walks of life has built this country. Rome was like that too. Persia and Greek was like that too. The British Empire was like that too. Napoleon's era was like that too. So for us to sit back and even assume that because we're a melting pot of minds, that's why America will never fall off her perch. Because everybody from every culture has put their hand in the pot and built this country. And they sell you that narrative. But they never tell you about countries that have already done it like that. And yet they are no longer empires. I believe America will be around till the end of this universe, the end of this, at least our solar system. I believe there will always be a United States of America. But guess what? Just like there's still always going to be Britain or the UK, there's going to always be Persian area, Greek, in other words. You can go visit, you can get on a plane, go to Greece right now. There's going to always be a location in Rome, Italy. You can get on a plane, go to Italy right now. And a day will come when we will be knocked off our perch and people will still be able to get on the plane and visit the United States. But we will be a fraction of who we once were, just like those other countries are fractions of who they once were. And Americans hate to admit that. We are not going to rule until the end of our solar system. It's not going to happen. It's not. It just hurt y'all a little heart to He said, I'm in Athens right now. He said, yep, the Greeks are still here. Thank you, brother. Mr. International Quiet Storm. He say, Dre, that sounds like a band or a band commercial that I will tell you about. Okay, cool. He say the one about the college students in China. Wow. I don't remember that one, but I believe that it exists. He said the British Empire and the French Empire failed as well. It was mighty empires. Yep. Rise and fall. I mean, just think about the French Empire under Napoleon. They spread their military so thin that in order to continue to battle and hold what they did have under Napoleon's ruling, they had to do the Louisiana Purchase with the United States. Hey, United States, we own the middle of your country. Top to bottom, we own the middle of your country. It wasn't just the state of Louisiana, which is named after Louisiana. They owned a huge chunk of the United States. And they sold it pennies on the dollar because they couldn't even win the battle, not against foreign, local countries. They couldn't even win the war against the Haitian brothers. For all of you that don't know, Alexander the Great and all them dudes in France, when you came down the turnpike, the French couldn't even win against the Haitian brothers. The Spaniards couldn't win against the Haitians or the Dominicans. To where they had to do the Louisiana Purchase and sell that middle chunk of the United States to us. Spreading yourself too thin. Spreading yourself too thin. Yeah, remember that one? The sun never sets on the British Empire until it didn't lose their American colonies. Absolutely correct. Was the beginning of the end. World War I put the coffin in it. A lot of people don't know about that. Yep, the Haitians defeated the Spaniards and the British as well. The part that gets me about the relationship between the Dominicans and the Haitians, the Dominicans should be bowing before the Haitians. That part of the island would not have been free if it wasn't for the Haitians coming to the aid of the Dominicans. Dominicans were not winning their battles on their own. Do your homework. They were getting slaughtered. It was the Haitians that came over twice and saved the Dominicans. Now the Haitians are treated like trash. Dude, do you not realize? Do you not realize what they did for you? Dominicans talk crazy to the Haitians. You like, dude, you people would not exist if it was this is a funny part about black people. Sometimes our heart is too good. Sometimes we have such a spiritually good heart that we would not want to do unto others to what others have done unto us. And it's crazy. The Haitians could have easily slaughtered the Dominicans. We would have never heard the term Dominicans ever. That whole island could have been called Hades. Easy if they were evil enough to do it. The only reason that island is split is because the Haitians went and fought for the Dominicans. The Haitians could have went over there and just manhandled the Dominicans and said, I wish you would go ask for help. I wish you would ask somebody to come to this island and help you. But they didn't. They actually helped the Dominicans twice. You say the islands around San Andreas in Colombia occupied by Haitian armies. Absolutely correct. Good point. He said Haitians or Haiti was wealthier than 13 colonies when they got their freedom. They helped Gran Colombia. A lot of people don't know about Gran Colombia. Gran Colombia was when all the countries were one: Venezuela, Panama, Ecuador, Colombia. We're all one country called Gran Colombia. For 3 years, they were called the United States of Colombia. Then the first country to break off and act like they didn't want to be with us was Panama. The United States helped Panama break off from Gran Colombia. And then, of course, the separation took place between Venezuela and Ecuador. But there was a time, he's absolutely correct, Gran Colombia, and they got their independence, but Bolivar betrayed them and did not end slavery. Absolutely correct. For those that don't know about the history of Colombia and Haiti, Colombia was getting slaughtered by the Spaniards. Gran Colombia at that time period. Once again, Gran Colombia is Panama, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, one country. They were getting destroyed by the Spaniards. The Haitians weren't even free 11 years. I'll say this again, and I know we're off topic. The Haitians weren't even free 11 years. Colombia came begging them, could you show us how to win the war? They showed them. Colombia went back. The generals went back under Bolivar, which was Colombia's version of George Washington, and got beat. I mean, got destroyed by the Spaniards. They went back to Haiti, Bolivar and his representatives. What did we do wrong? Oh, you asked me for military plans. You didn't ask for my generals and colonels to show you all how to go to war against Spain. So the Haitian generals and military might came to Colombia. And that's how Colombia won its freedom. And its promise to Hades was, we will set the slaves free. And they lied, and they didn't set them free. And then for a short time period, Haiti and Colombia was beefing. Yeah, you got to know all this stuff. You're going to get your citizenship. If you're going to get your Colombian citizenship, you got to know all your homework. So I know you guys were like, how the hell he know all this? Yeah, because I got to study it for my citizenship. Yeah. I got to know all this stuff for my citizenship. So I know T-Mac does, and Will, all this. Colombia's history is real simple. Bolivar was actually from Spain, and he was their George Washington. And check it out, Bolivar's general, his right-hand man, Bolivar had his way of doing. Once they won the war, Bolivar's their version of George Washington. He had his right-hand man. I mean, this was his dude. Bolivar wanted to run the country one way. He didn't want to end slavery, blah, blah, blah. His right-hand man wanted to keep his promise to the Haitians and all the other countries. Now, remember, this is still Gran Colombia. It's still Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, one country at this time period. They broke off. Man, F you. This is how Colombia has its Republicans or its version of Democrats. Bolivar was one way of thinking, and his right-hand man brought a lot of people his way, was another way of thinking. So for those that wonder how Colombians have their version of Republicans and Democrats. It's not necessarily America's version of Republicans and Democrats. It's a little different. And how it came to life was Bolivar was one way, his right-hand man was another way. Millions of people went with Bolivar, millions of people went with his right-hand man, and I forget his name. He said Venezuela did not like the capital being located far away in Bogota. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. What surprised me is Bogota was the city that they built, but the first city of Colombia is Santa Marta. Santa Marta is the first city. It's almost like they're Jamestown. You know, in the United States, the first city, Jamestown. Well, the first city of Colombia, the first city is Santa Marta, not Barranquilla, not Cartagena. Santa Marta was the first established city, then the first major established city and capital of Gran Colombia. You're absolutely correct, Bogota. That's why Bogota is such a large city. I mean, Bogota, a lot of you guys sleeping on Bogota. Bogota is twice the size geographically than Chicago. Bogota has more people than New York City. New York City ranks, it has 9 to 11 million people in New York City. Bogota has 11 to 13 million people in Bogota right now. It ranks between number 22 and number 26 as far as the largest cities in the world. Bogota is not a small city. He said, breaking news. Multiple U.S. warships being spotted off the coast of Haiti surrounding Port-au-Prince. I wouldn't deny that at all. I'm going to look that up after the show. I would deny that at all. That's serious. Well, at least you guys got a chance to hear a little bit of history of Colombia. Now let's get back to the video.
So originally, a lot of us were told there was nothing that we could do to find out if this was happening to our personal passport. Turns out you can call the U.S. Department of State. I'm going to leave the number here. Travel is stressful enough.
Okay. Remember what she just said? You can call the U.S. Department of State. That's the phone number right there, guys. If you want to call that number, I haven't called it yet. I will be calling tomorrow. Some people say you can get through. Some people say even if you can get through, technically you cannot verify if your passport is reported as lost. I'll say this again. I'm going to leave that up there for you guys that are grabbing pens or taking screenshots. They say that for some people, they say call the U.S. Department of State. Others are saying in this video, that even if you call them, you might not get through, or this information center cannot tell you if your passport has been flagged as stolen or lost. So it wouldn't even help you anyway. That's what most people are saying. But I would say nothing beats a failure but a try. So we're going to give it a try. I think did I miss your super chat, Zay? Because I thought I saw you put something up here earlier. Zay said this. My bad, Zay. My bad. Shout out to Zay being in the building. He said, what is the ultimate goal of them trying to trap Americans if they want deporting people? Tax base getting low. You hit the nail right on the head. I've always said that. What do I always say? I want Americans to stay in America for what? To keep the U.S. dollar strong. And so I and guys like you can get all these tax breaks that Americans don't get. If you think that they want you guys for us for anything more than tax breaks. Remember, America is a corporation. We believe in capitalism. Everything goes back to the dollar with us. Everything. They don't want us to stay in America because morally it's correct. It's morally correct to have people here. You were born here. They don't care nothing about that. They care about what we do with our tax dollars. I'll tell you how I know. Poor man with 313, you Detroit, all you Detroit guys.
You better back the fuck up out my face, goddammit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Don't play with me.
Tell me I'm wrong when what I'm about to say. If you have never been or seen a city or experienced this, like Oakland, Cleveland, Detroit, you won't relate to what I'm about to say. When Detroit started doing bad with crime, and then the auto industry slowed down in Detroit in major layoffs, people by the millions were leaving Detroit. Detroit was one of the largest cities, top 5 largest cities in the country. Think about it. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, Detroit was ranking up there. We had the music scene. We had techno music coming from Detroit. We had the Motown sound coming from Detroit. We had the big 3 in Detroit. There was no agreement between NAFTA at that time period and Mexican and jobs being shipped down to Mexico. That time period hadn't hit. The unions were still strong. Reagan wasn't president yet to destroy the unions. Detroit was killing the game. Everybody had a house. My mama had a house. Yo mama, everybody grandmama, everybody auntie owned a house. Everybody had a house. Single mothers, wives, husbands, everybody had a house. It was easy. It was easy. And I don't mean lived in a house. I mean owned a house. As the unions died off during the Reagan administration, as layoffs hit Detroit and crime ran crazy, ran rampant, people started leaving Detroit. Bill Bonds, for all you Detroiters, was a news reporter, white guy. We knew Bill Bonds drank while he was live on the show, but we didn't care. We loved Bill Bonds. Bill Bonds had a statement. Things were so bad in Detroit. Bill Bonds, one of his most famous quotes, last person out of Detroit, please cut the lights out. Make sure you turn the light off if you're the last person out of Detroit. That's how many people were leaving. Because those tax dollars weren't there anymore. My high school got closed down. My junior high school is currently closed down. No tax dollars. My elementary school, I drove past it a few years back. It's closed down. It's an abandoned building where the crackheads have come and took the pipes out of the basement. No tax dollars means the decline of a city. No tax dollars can mean the decline of a country. They don't care who comes in as much as they are going to start to care about how many of us are leaving out. Between 2021 and 2024, over 11 million immigrants came into the United States. But 10 years prior, over the last 15 to 20 years, over 11 million Americans have left the United States. These immigrants, many of them pay taxes. but not like us that have left and get tax breaks. Think about 11 million people have gone, and 98% statistically don't owe taxes. We file taxes, but with the tax breaks that we get, 98% statistically don't owe a dime once we get done filing. And you guys who are just here for the first year outside the United States, maybe Will and maybe some other guys. I think Will has lived in Europe before, so he understands. But some of you guys that are living outside the United States for the first time of this tax season, you've never filed taxes while you were outside the United States. All the tax breaks that you get, like right now, $130,000 tax break, tax-free. As long as you don't even go over the threshold, and many have, but as long as you don't go over the threshold of $130,000, well, your tax is basically tax-free. Let's say you go over. There are several tax breaks on top of that one that gives you more breaks. Most Americans in the States don't make $130,000. And the 11 million of us outside the States definitely don't make and don't need $130,000. And this is one of the reasons why 98% of expats have to file taxes. But we pay zero in taxes, especially those of you who live in tax-free states such as Florida, Texas, Wyoming. Now, when we file, do we still pay towards Social Security? Yes, we do. But I'm talking about your regular federal state taxes. 98%. One of the main reasons is 98% of us don't make over $130,000. We don't. And then on top of that, we get the other tax breaks. So yes, Zay is 100% correct. The more of us that are leaving, not only we're leaving, and I could see if we were leaving and we still had to pay the amount of taxes that we owed while we were in the States. Let's say your tax bill every year was $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, right? And you left the United States and you still had to pay that. That would be one thing. So America wouldn't feel the loss, the pinch. But to have 11 million citizens leave and 98% of them who are filing taxes no longer owe anything? You think they want you guys to continue to come out here and owe nothing back? Yeah. The more of us leave, the more the average American is going to feel it. Just like in Detroit for all those years, those who stayed felt the burden of those who left, because those who left were no longer paying taxes in Detroit. It happened in Cleveland with mass exodus. It happened in Oakland with mass exodus. Remember, Oakland was the first city in the U.S. history that ever had to file bankruptcy as a city. Absolutely correct, Zay. Shout out to you. Tevin says this. Well, let's go back to Black Nubian. Them Canadian boys are always in the building.
I told this guy where I was from. He said, oh, Canada.
Shout out to you, brother. Tevin says this in regards to the breaking news and the warships off the coast of Haiti. We're going to find out what's going on with that. David says this. He said, thank God I listened to the fellas, got my passport, and got my global entry. We're going to talk about that tonight, too. Evan in the building. Glad to see you here, Evan. He said, hello, Andre. I'm in Bahrain in the Middle East. He said, I love being overseas. The passport tiger. Yes, sir. Traveling solo. Yes, sir. I'm glad you're having a great time, and I'm glad to hear from you, Evan. I got to reach out to my man, Unc C, because he was just recently in South Africa. I want to interview him. Let's go back to the video, gentlemen. He said, I never knew Gran Colombia even existed. Yeah, it was Gran Colombia. Then, like I say, for 3 years, it was called the United States of Colombia. That was just a brief name because it was, and then it went back to Gran Colombia, right? Colombia's had like maybe 5 or 6 names, right? But the most famous one is Gran Colombia, and the one that comes to my mind is United States of Colombia, and then it went back to Gran Colombia, and then they all separated, and now it's just, Republic of Colombia. So we're a republic, like the Dominican Republic. We're a Republic of Colombia, just like America is a republic, technically a republic too. Shout out to you guys. He said, check the Economic Times news on this article. Let me write that down. Shout out to the Yay area. He said the Yay area is feeling it now. He said, I was home visiting last summer. It's awful, man. I used to love the Yay area, man. I used to be out there all the time. I was a hyphy head, man. Keek the Sneak, Messy Marv, the Federation, a San Quinn, Snoop Dogg, Short Dog, of course, E40, of course, Mac Dre. Man, listen, I was a hyphy head back in the day, bruh. Get my grown man on. Shout out to Zeta being in the building. Let's continue on. We're coming to the end of the video. Let's finish it off, gentlemen.
You don't need to be thinking.
Remember, this is the number to call just in case you guys want to see if your passport is okay before you leave. You might be able to pick up, get somebody on the phone. You might not.
About this in your upcoming travels.
I don't mean to be an alarmist, and I hope I'm not. I hope I am just saying this, and there's really no reason for this, and this is just like a trend I've seen, but I have now seen like 6 people on making videos on this app on TikTok who were traveling somewhere with a U.S. passport, and it got revoked. All of these got revoked in the country they were going into by Interpol, and basically saying your passport is lost, we can't let you enter. And so all these passports, they were like, no, it's not lost. Like, this is me. They have backup documentation, and it doesn't matter because somebody has reported it lost. And legally, the only person who can report your passport lost is yourself. Like, nobody else can like report that lost for you. And they're all like heirs. Everyone's like, no, it's not. Like, I've been using this passport. Like, what is happening? And I think that like, it sounds like they're probably like clerical errors. So that's why I'm like, let's not fully panic. However, I didn't even realize that this could happen. Like, I did not realize, like, I thought if I had a passport in my hand, I was safe to enter any country. And I guess like there's no way to check if Interpol flags it because the airlines don't actually do a full run of your passport. The only way to do it is if you're at the border, like crossing a border, then they run your passport fully. So I don't know.
That's the sad part. That's the challenging part. That the only real way to check if your passport is valid or not or if it's okay or not is literally being at somebody's border trying to use your passport. That's the only way.
Just like really got me freaked out. Then I'm like, oh my God, even if you have a passport, I have a passport in hand, like worst case scenario. I mean, I live in the US, like things here are getting crazier by the day. Like by the hour, things are escalating here so quickly that it's almost mind-boggling where you're like, you think you have time, and it's like, oh my God, you just like something that I would think in an authoritarian regime that might take like months to do, it happens in hours now. And it's really scary to be like, if you're in the US, there is a chance they could use this tactic, because like who's reporting all of these lost? I don't know. I don't mean to fearmonger, and I hope that this is not going to stress people even more out, which it probably will, but I'm just stressed out about this, and I feel like I am like, do we all just leave? Do we need to leave sooner than later?
Update on getting deported from Thailand because America's failing us. If you haven't seen my previous video...
Well, this is the guy who started this whole informative segment on TikTok. He was the first one that the U.S. did this to. He went directly to the State Department, but he also came to TikTok to let everybody know. And then other people start sharing their stories after him. Shout out to Tevin King. He says this. He said, Andre, you watched the Netflix documentary American Factory? It's about the Chinese owner who is trying to revolutionize the Detroit auto industry. No, I'm going to check that out. I'm writing that down right now. Thanks for letting me know.
Well, please go watch that before this for context, because it's a lot of information. So first, I just want to answer the main question that I received on the previous video, which was, can you personally check whether or not your passport is marked as lost in the system?
Now, that was the original question that our brother Fears asked. Can you check before you leave? He's going to answer the question. Remember, his incident happened on December 28th. So in January, he posted these videos to let us know step by step his process. So the first question is, can you check on your passport before you leave to find out if there's any issues? He's going to give the answer.
Mistakenly. No, you cannot. There is no possible way for you to do this. The only possible way that I have figured out is if you literally went to the Canadian border or the Mexican border and tried to get into the country and see if it works or not. So as of right now, you cannot check whether or not your passport is 100% valid. So I'll get back to that, but I'm going to go back to my story.
So he's answered the question. No. Don't they check before you head to the gate? No. The U.S. government does not completely check. They check to make sure if that's your passport that you have in your hand, yes. When you're getting on that flight and you put it on the desk to validate that that's you, yes. Is it you on this reservation? Yes. You're getting on that plane, but you have not hit a border yet, have you? You are going through customs as far as like the gate check for international flights. Yes. Have you crossed any borders yet? You haven't. The only time you can be sure if your passport is valid or not, or lost or considered lost or stolen in the system, is literally the moment you're about to use it to go into somebody else's borders. That's the only test that you have. You can't test it while you're still in America's borders. And that's the sad part. And that's what he's saying. You cannot test it based off of his research while you're in the United States, unless you maybe go, like he said, go to Mexico's borders, or if you're in Detroit or New York or any other areas up north, or Canada's borders. So no, even if we call this number, there is no 100% way of being sure that your passport is not being impacted by this glitch in the system. Let's continue on.
So you guys understand what's happening right now. So I have been jumping through so many hoops, sent down rabbit holes. I'm running around in circles, trying to get information as to what happened to me. And it's insane how little information can be provided to me by the people in charge of this. The only way that I've been able to get any information about this is from people that have contacted me saying a similar situation has happened to them, which has been only about like 15 to 20 that have reached out on the app for my previous video.
So his video was first. And he said the only help that he's been able to get is not from our U.S. government. Our government has not been able to help him. He said when people saw my TikTok video and the same thing that happened to them, they were sharing what little information that they had. But other than that, the government was of no help.
So this has happened to other people in Sweden, in Paris, in the UAE, also in Thailand again. In Italy, the other girl that's blowing up on TikTok right now. So this is not a Thailand-specific issue that I want to emphasize here. One person from the comments was actually able to get me in touch with somebody that had information for me. And it's ridiculous that that is the measure that I had to go to learn anything. So after calling this government number a bunch of times, I'm finally told that my passport has never had a lost passport application open for it ever. Meaning me, nobody else has ever tried to flag my passport as lost.
Now remember, as I mentioned earlier, there was a sister on TikTok. She's currently there now. I should have pulled up her video. Said, yeah, you got to reapply. Good question, Zay. Yep, he had to reapply for his passport. If it was considered lost. If it was considered lost. But he's saying that his passport was never considered lost. So let's hear what steps he had to take, because he's going to walk us through the steps. But back to what I was mentioning. Good question, Zay. He's going to answer this question for you. I think I'm going to pull that video up. I think I'm going to see if I can still find it. This sister said that that it must have been their faults and that they must have forgotten to file, forgotten that they had at one point in time filed that their passports were lost. This gentleman here is saying that the government is telling him no one has ever filed that his passport was lost or stolen. Yet when he got to another country, it was flagged by Interpol that it was lost and or stolen.
But obviously, I got to Thailand and found out that it was flagged as lost. So nobody was frauding me. I obviously didn't do this myself. I found out that my local government passport agency flagged it as lost and did not tell me. I don't know why they did this. The people I talked to also have no idea why I did this. So I need to go in person and make an appointment and figure out what happened and also try and get some sort of reimbursement for my travel expenses that I missed out on. But the person that told me about this said that the exact same thing happened to them. And the conclusion was that it was a clerical error, meaning that somebody working in the office just made a mistake and filed their passport completely incorrectly wrong. That's crazy. It may have been an honest mistake, which it probably was, but I had no way of knowing that I was barred from essentially leaving the country ever until I got to a different country. So if you're somebody that you've been in a similar situation, I hope it brings you a little bit of comfort knowing that nobody's doing this maliciously or you're not being frauded. But it's still absolutely ridiculous that a complete random mistake can leave you stranded in a foreign country. This should not have happened. It should not have taken me nearly 1 million views on TikTok to get in touch with a couple people that had any idea of what to do in this situation. There should be checks at TSA, there should be checks at the airline, or at the very minimum, there should be some sort of website or portal that I can check as a civilian that tells me the status of my passport. This is scary. I'm bringing awareness to this problem because It may have been an honest mistake in the system, but
it's one thing that it happened to him and a few people. It's another thing, as the other brother was saying earlier in the video, this has happened to hundreds of people. This has happened to people in the hundreds. And it's not coincidental that it's happening now. My man Zay said this. He said the U.S. is grimy. He said this ain't a mistake. Absolutely correct. I think he's giving the U.S. the benefit of the doubt. He said they're making many people pay a second time for another passport. Their attempt is to keep people from leaving or making more move or making it more expensive to leave. An extra $300 USD just to get another passport. Absolutely correct. So peep what he said. Someone in the office made a clerical mistake. I know, right? I caught that. How many of these bitter hyenas and simps work in these? This is a good point. Hey, Jermon, what you just said did not go over my head, brother. You are absolutely correct. How many of these hyenas and these simps that don't want us to travel work in these passport offices? That is a good point. This is a lawsuit in the making. I wonder if it is. Incompetence lottery of government on the government behalf, and we always win.
The system should not allow something like this to happen. If it does happen, I need to be notified about it. If I don't get notified about it, I need to be stopped before I get on an international flight. Another update, somebody from TikTok got me in touch with one of my senators. There's a case open for me now, so there should hopefully be an update there soon. The other main comment that I got on the last video was asking why I didn't talk to the U.S. Embassy in this situation, and I did. As my passport was being denied, I got in contact with them, and I was pretty much just met with what sounded like an intern that didn't really want to talk to me, and they said they couldn't do anything for me, and I needed to comply with whatever the immigration officers were telling me to do, which was leaving the country. Based off of what I've learned and who I've talked to, this is not cool. The U.S. Embassy is supposed to protect American citizens when they're abroad, and people in the exact same situation as me that I have talked to said that they were taken care of and even allowed back into the country in some cases. But that is an entirely different thing that I can't fully get into in this video, so, you know, those are all of the updates that I have right now. I don't have any reimbursement. I don't have a lot of answers still, but the ball is starting to move and there is change and investigation being done soon. So, you know, more updates to come, hopefully.
So it took him 1 million views on TikTok in order for somebody to decide to do something for this man. If it wasn't for him going viral on TikTok, they wouldn't have cared about him or any of the other people. Now we're about to watch his latest update, his last update, and see what's taking place now that they've so-called opened a case for him. International Quiet Storm says they already sabotaged the post office. This is true. He said it wouldn't be surprising to me if it is the passport agencies, in the passport agencies and passport offices. You're absolutely correct. The staff members, you guys called it. Leo says this: we went through a period of years where people were going crazy on planes. Maybe this is another site. No. I see where you're coming from. No, I don't think so. Let's hear the second half of what he had to say.
Lastly, I just want to thank everybody on TikTok, everybody that shared the video, everybody that's reached out and given advice. It has been incredibly helpful. This has been a really hard past week since this happened, and it's comforting to know that people share our frustrations and people understand where the problem is here and that we're actually making progress. So more updates to come. Thanks. I was deported, and here is the final update on what happened to me. Last time I told you guys that I was able to track it down to my local passport agency. I got in touch with my senator's office. They've been working on the case, and they did confirm that it was my local passport agency. I made an appointment online to go in and talk to somebody, and they actually had somebody reach out, and they told me to come in and that they would take care of me, basically 100% admitting that it was their fault. So this morning was that appointment. I go in, I'm waiting in line, get to the front of the line, and the person working there is like, "Oh, you're like the weird situation guy, right? I saw your TikTok." And they go get their supervisor. I get pulled out of line. They've got a window waiting for me with like 4 people behind it waiting to help me. So kind of cool. It's basically like the DMV, so I'm expecting it to suck. But honestly, I can't emphasize enough how nice and how helpful all these people were. I get there, I'm filling out the form for my new passport, and I ask, "Tell me what happened, I need to know." They tell me what to hear. They honestly don't even know what happened. It was a freak mistake. It was a clerical error. Somebody typed something in wrong. They don't know when it happened, who did it, whatever. No more information. Which really sucks, but they did take ownership for it. It was on them. And I got my passport expedited within 15 minutes after I filled out the form. I had a new one in my possession, which is awesome. And then I asked about reimbursement for my trip because, you know, this was like multiple thousands of dollars. And they said that the agency, the most that they can do for me is to provide me with a new passport, which they did. And all the expenses, I can take it up with the Department of State, which sucks, again, obviously. But, you know, at least I got some accountability and I got a new passport. Obviously, I want the money back, but that's going to be its own thing entirely. I'm pretty happy with the way things have ended. I got a new passport, I got answers, and I am very, very...
So, yeah, he had to get... Zay, based off your question, he had to get a new passport.
Pleasantly surprised with how helpful and how quick my senator's office was, so very good to know. So my personal battle with this is done. So just know that if you're going through something similar, you can be reimbursed, you can get some answers, but there's still a lot of work to be done here. I reached back out to my senator's office and told them, "Listen, you guys need to look into this a lot deeper past what happened to me. My story is over, but there's still so many checks and things that need to be looked at to prevent this from happening in the future. No matter what you personally believe is the reasoning behind why this happened, we can all agree and acknowledge that this should not happen. There needs to be at least one more check in place to stop this from happening. So if it's not the passport agency themselves being audited or double checked and doing, you know, a cross check of information to stop this from happening, there needs to be checks at the check-in desk for the airline, or when I buy an international ticket, or at the very least at frickin' TSA, right? One good thing I'll note is that people on TikTok have found out that you can reach out to the National Passport Information Center. Give them a call if you're really concerned about this, and they will tell you the status of your passport. So you can check, but the thing...
Okay, so he says that you can check. His other video before, when he first started, said that you can't check, but now he says you can use that number that you can check.
Is this happened to me because I didn't know that it could happen to me. So there's going to be multiple people that this happens to, and they also have no idea that this could happen to them. And there's no checks, no balances that are saving people like that. I've done about as much as I possibly can to get the word out about this. My TikTok blew up. I'm in multiple news outlets with my story. People are making AI slop with my video, which I think is kind of awesome, actually. But the job's not done until something gets fixed, obviously. So my story is over, but please, whoever's watching this, if you or somebody you know has any legislative power at all, show them my videos. For now, huge thank you to everybody on TikTok that helped. I could not have done this without you. This will probably be the last time I'm posting about this, and I'll go back to my regular posting or whatever. But maybe someday I will be able to come back here and tell you guys that positive change was made. So, signing off until then.
Okay, guys, so I'm gonna make a video on this because I have a theory, and I feel like I'm very much right about this, right? So I've been hearing that people have been traveling internationally, and when they land down, wherever they land down at, they get deported or they have all these issues getting into where they're trying to get at, and their passport gets like marked stolen and whatnot. With the times that we're in right now, we're like World War III coming up, and the Venezuelan takeover and whatnot, and all this extra stuff. So my theory is, and I feel like I'm very much right about this, they're definitely trying to trap us in America. That's obvious as fuck to me. But what's also happening is, like, if World War III breaks out, like, they're trying to stop us from going to the safe havens, like Ireland. What's another one? Some African countries, I think. Iceland. What's another one? Like, I'm forgetting them on the top of my head. But yeah, they're trying to stop us from going to places like that. So when you go to places like Greece, Italy, and all this extra shit, Paris, all that shit, it's gonna get marked as stolen, and they're gonna deport you back to America, and you're gonna have to deal with all these legal fees and all this shit. And it's pretty dangerous when stuff like that happens too, because it's just like, bro, you're so far from America, and let's say that you go to a place that really don't like Americans that much, like they'll let them in, but they'll kind of fuck with them. Yeah, that's fucking dangerous, bro. Like, yeah, I better be careful with this traveling. And I also feel like I forgot to add this in. I also feel like if you go to the Caribbeans and all that, you're not gonna have much problems with your passport, because look at what they're trying to do to Venezuelans and Venezuela. Look at what they're trying to do to Colombia and the president. It's like, if you go to any of those places as a safe haven from World War III, it's not gonna work, bro. It ain't gonna fly. So like, when you go to these international places, that's when the problem happens with your passport. But if you go to the Caribbeans, like, you know, ain't really no safe haven over there, apparently. I feel like there is, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Probably not, because everybody's trying to take over everybody's shit, especially in the Caribbeans. So
the reason why I put his video in this clip, this young man here, you see how scattered he sounds, all over the place, guesstimating. He's the average American. The average American wouldn't know what the heck to do if anything broke out. If it was another pandemic, the average American wouldn't know what to. Y'all building bomb shelters in the exact country that's telling you, we're gonna keep you in the country anyway. You ain't leaving anyway. Even if you want to leave. We are so misinformed about what to do when it comes to if somebody wants to do something crazy to our country or within our country. We're scatterbrained. Let's be for real. I was like that. I mean, bruh, all of us weren't military guys. All of us weren't a government or country contract guys where you get a contract for a job to be out of the country, like in Qatar. Most of us weren't like, most of us were mere mortal Americans. Didn't know nothing about outside the United States until we started traveling. And most Americans are just like this dude. Naive to the core. Doesn't know which direction he would even want to go. 1 minute he's talking about he's Iceland. Next minute the brother's talking about the Caribbean. And that's how I thought. Didn't have a game plan. Didn't know what I was going to do. It's crazy. Big Brother in Life says that. He said, I wonder what countries would be safe in World War III. Okay, this is how World War III is we're gonna do a video on this one. I'm glad you guys mentioned this one. We might do this one this Sunday. I'm gonna put that one together. I might put this together tonight. A lot of guys don't realize how World War III is going to take place. World War III is not set up is not going to be set up to take place in the way that the first two wars were, to where it is the larger, more powerful, or even Germany was smaller, but yet powerful countries advance on each other, right? World War III will be which countries between Russia, China, United States, will have control over the smaller countries. World War III is not going to be about taking over somebody else's region. It's about how much power will you have in your own region. You got China trying to come against Taiwan. China is not trying to come against France, is it? Not at all. The United States has already announced we're pulling all to the west. That's how World War III is going to work out. Whose area is the top dog? Why do you think China is trying to do as much as it can to be in position throughout Africa? Hey, here's a few $1 billion here and a few $1 billion there. Throughout South America, here's a few $1 billion here and a few $1 billion there. It's not going to be, yep, the U.S. will not allow any country to gain superiority. Neither did Persia, Greece, Mongolia, UK, and all the other empires. They did not allow anybody to gain superiority, including Rome. What happened with all the empires that fell? They collapsed from within. And so will our empire. You see the millions of people, I mean, the hundreds of thousands of people that were walking the streets in Minnesota. America is going to collapse from within. We can pretend like it won't. It's going to always be America. It's going to always be great. Dudes, I'm not a Chicken Little. You know, I'm not one of them Chicken Little type of dudes. The sky is falling. I'm more of a positive guy, but I'm a realist. And let's be real with world history. I think that's one of the things that I don't like about our people in America. And I'm not talking about UT Mac. I'm just talking about our people in America in general. We actually, we think that we invented the superior mindset. We didn't. Every empire's citizens thought like we do. The British Empire, the French Empire, the Mesopotamian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, Persian Empire, every single one of them had that ego about them. The Roman Empire, you could tell them the same thing. Same thing. You could never dare to tell a Roman that the Republic or the Empire was going to fall. Never. We haven't invented, humans haven't changed. We're still the same. T-Mac says, I'm referring to, oh, yep, the Spanish Empire as well. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. He said, I'm only referring to the game plan for World War III. I'm not talking about the collapse of the U.S. He said, I will send you a video. Okay, send me that so I can get a little bit more clarity. I appreciate that, T-Mac. The Greek Empire, the Roman Empire. He said, Andre, people think people that are global minded already know this. It's locally minded people that are freaked out. I can see that. The Egyptian Empire, man, yeah. And the Mayans. Oh wow, you guys are calling some great yeps. The Japanese Empire, we talked about that earlier, didn't even want to surrender even after atomic bomb. Yep. So yeah, they thought that they were more mighty than they were. And I kid you not, Andre and I are always watching World War II movies. And I kid you not, the ego of the Japanese during that time period, they do. You think America has ego? Japan, of the average Japanese, the level of propaganda that they sold the average Japanese citizen was crazy egotistical. Crazy. They in a million years, they thought they could lose to the United States. That's how they sold it to the average citizen. And then here comes Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Lessons to be learned. Ronan says this. He said, I'm getting the book of Revelations vibes. I am too. Me and Andre was studying a little bit of Revelations the other day. Vibes from what is going on now. The mark of the chip, I caught that. The rise of AI, the digital ID will be if you sit back, you see how it is in Asia right now. All you got to do is just use your hand, white swipe, and all of a sudden all your information just pops up on the screen to pay for something at a regular 7-Eleven. So yeah, it's on its way. We have already adopted it. Absolutely correct. He said every empire will fall eventually. However, the average American does not know the capacity or the capability of the U.S. military. That I agree with 1,000%. He said, I work on a DARPA project that seems like fiction. I kid you not. I will not deny that at all. He said he told the Japanese, let's go right here, T-Mac. He said he told the admiral told the Japanese government that they would be only 6 months, they will win for 6 months. But then they would be overcome. Yamamoto studied in the U.S. and he did not want war. And that was the admiral. Yep. Shout out to Mike T. He said, I'm just speculating. He said, if a change is made to the passport in the system, they verified it to be true, the logs could be searched via CLI. That's what I thought. He said, these are random instances or cyber attacks. My 2 cents. Like I say, either way, I think a lot of this is the foundation for something that we don't know about. Ronan said this. He said, we already blew their minds in the coordination of power in the operation in Venezuela. That's absolutely true. Okay. That's absolutely true. Let's go back and finish off this last few moments of the video.
I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
So I see a lot of people bringing up the passport issue. It's been brought up by many creators over the last few days, a couple of weeks, I guess, or so. And my question to you all is, and somebody brought this up to me earlier, have you all noticed that like 99% of the people who are bringing up this issue with the passports and the identification are white? They still want us to leave. They're not trying to keep us here. They're trying to keep you here. You who look like this. They said one heritage. What exactly do you think they meant by that? Here's the deal. You can't make more white people without white people. So they don't want y'all to leave. No. They want us to leave. That is why people in Washington began to refer to us as inconsequentials. They don't want us. They want y'all of the pale variety. And then you guys keep asking this dumbass question about biracials as if you don't already know the answer to that. Y'all know what they're going to do with biracials. Same thing they're going to do with us. They don't want them there. They don't want any trace of us here. And believe me, this is not funny to me. This is actually quite sad. These uncreative fucks can't come up with anything that wasn't like 80 to 90 years ago. It's really dumb. Their ideology is stupid, like they are. And as y'all know, you know his bot's about to come up in this comment section and say I'm lying, but don't believe him. Believe your eyes. And your eyes tell you one thing, and y'all know I'm right. Or you guys are welcome to believe the crazy ass Nepo babies that keep telling you not to believe your eyes as your bank accounts get thinner and thinner and thinner with nothing there, and they try to keep taking things away from you. I don't know. It's up to you. Do with that information what you will.
All right, we're at the end of the video, and the brother said, hey, you notice that it's happening to white people. They don't want white people to leave. That's his theory. You know, we all know something that, in the words of Keith Sweat, something just ain't right. Just ain't right. Something just ain't right. Shout out to all you guys that have been here. I think we could take it with a grain of salt, but we could take it with a grain of severity. Of at least now we know, and we're not going to be kind of blindsided. If we notice this, we know what to do. We know not to panic. We know what to work with the embassy and work with the U.S. State Department. And for many of us, we can even use that phone number, 877-487-2778, to call to check on your passport with the Passport Information Center. So shout out to all you guys and all you guys that are sharing World War II and information on Japan. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, because tomorrow will be Friday night, drink in hand. Let's get some outro videos going.